Again, that's only because of the glare. That's why you can, that's why I do that. You have sufficient light to, if you had to make little notes or anything?
Yes.
All right, cool. So, again, we're here. Before we get into that chapter we're scheduled for the day, the international standards and I think it's customer due diligence. Yeah? Okay. So, as promised from last week, well, actually from the morning. Alrighty. From the first class session, I gave you a brief overview of that case involving the AML National. Of course, some names were being changed and to sanitize it. Couldn't let you see inside the man house or outside the man house because you all would know which house we're talking about and drive past and say, what? All that money in there? Now, people might need to hit that house. But this was an actual case that took place. We had to change some dates around because it was recent and again, it was in the press. I mean, monies were confiscated. Yeah, I've been trying to be a little interactive with it because if you see something that's perhaps outside of the norm, feel free to jump in and echo your sentiments. So having said that, this is the case that was prepared by some of my former colleagues there over at the DU involving this AML National. And of course, this is what was submitted to, at the time, to the current Commissioner of Police. They normally have this thing called ComStat, is a big thing of criminal activity that takes place for the previous week. So they needed to bring them up to speed and they do PowerPoint presentations. So, it was called Operation Endurance. Normally when they go on special operations, these little names, so they give it a tag, so they have to refer to it. They'll say Operation, let's get the lady from the trust company. And that would be the operation. So this was Operation Endurance. It was the lead investigator was Corporal Roll in that particular scenario. So here are the sequence of events. July 2008. Officers responded to an armed robbery at a residence. Remember I told you that the individual called the police headquarters and said, hey, I'm about to be robbed at a certain time. And you red flags. No one really knows when they're going to be robbed unless you were party to some underhand or some, something untoward. But he gave information that he was about to be robbed, and officers responded to this armed robbery at residence. When they got to the scene, they noticed damages to the door, crowbar on the floor, any red flag. Person tried to get in your house and left the stuff there, and you just like, okay, the door damage, crowbar there. The exterior check of the premises revealed a hole in the fence.
Good morning.
Morning. Everyone can see the board?
Yeah.
Okay. So they did an exterior check of the house, the perimeter. They saw there was a hole in the fence. The chain link fence was cut. A ski mask was on the ground. Knife and cash in the bushes. Remember I told you they found all these 50s and 100s. That ain't normal to find in the yard. I can't find loose change in my car or my set, but you can find 100s and 50s in your grass. That's a good day, right?
Yeah.
But not if fellas looking out the kid, right? It was a black male who opened the door, claiming to be the lone resident of the house. Said he was the owner of the house. Came to the door. He informed that the funds belonged to him. That was in the grass. Any red flags yet? The 50s and 100s in the grass. He said, yeah, that's my money. And that he had funds inside the house. And it was hidden because he knew he was about to be robbed. Remember, part of being a compliance officer too is to be inquisitive. You got to connect the dots. Even though you may not have proof, but your tool of the trade is one of suspicion. You don't really necessarily have to have proof, but you have to have suspicion, and it should be within reason. So looking at all these factors right here, they don't line up, and there's reasonable suspicion that this person either was involved in some kind of criminal behavior. Is that safe to say?
Yes.
Yeah. The officers from the DU, they made a check of the interior of the residence. And of course, like I said, I couldn't show you the photos of the interior of the man's house and some of the places where the money was found. I mean, like, you heard of the saying cold cash? Good morning. I mean, you hide monies in the deep freeze. So I mean, that's like literally cold cash and in the manhole. And of course, some folks, I'll pause for a second to see got some more. Hey, how you doing, sir? Were there many other folks coming in, or just you guys? We was just doing a recap of, I gave you a scenario, the actual case that took place involving the gentleman who lived somewhere out east, who said that he was about to be robbed, and this was the actual case presentation to the commissioner. I had to take some names out and I had to change some stuff around because I didn't want you to go there approaching no one and saying, approaching your neighbor and saying, boy, Clark, I hear you had money in your house or something like that. So I'm trying to protect you. We're not that far, and then me just go backtrack real quick and bring you up to speed. Because I just, if anyone else come, we ain't gonna do this again. Just so you know. We good? Okay, so the sequence of events, again, it was July, supposedly, we changed the dates. July 2008, officers from Drug Enforcement responding to a call of armed robbery as a residence. Upon arrival at the scene, they noticed damages to the front door, crowbar on the floor of this home. An exterior check of the residence revealed a hole in the chain link fence, ski masks on the ground, knife and cash leading to bushes away from the house. And of course, the question I posed earlier, do you see any red flags or are there any reason for suspicion as yet? Then they noticed a black male came to the front door, claiming to be the owner of the house, so he was the sole occupant of the house at the time. He informed officers that the funds that they found in the grass, 50s and 100s, belonged to him, and that he had monies hidden in the house because he knew that he was about to be robbed at 8 o'clock. Any suspicion as yet? The reason why I'm trying to show a correlation here, because while this is it's a criminal offense, money laundering going on here. As the compliance officer, you need to be able to connect the dots. You don't necessarily have to have proof. As a compliance officer, all you need is suspicion, reasonable suspicion. Yeah? And once you would have formed that, that would be the basis for your submission of a report to the authorities, i.e. the FIU. Yeah? Okay, the officers made a check of the interior of the residence, and like I said earlier, I couldn't show you the photos. I deleted the photos of the interior of the man's house. Y'all don't need to know all of that. And there is a saying, cold cash. Well, some of the monies were hidden in the freezer, and some was in the manhole, boxes. It was just spread all through the house. Yes?
Did he actually tell you guys there was money in the freezer, or the officers found it just doing the check?
No, he said, I have some monies. This is the next slide. He's gonna say some stuff. He said, I have some monies in the house. And when you say some money, you're thinking maybe you had a little ace draw. You know, it's okay, well, God bless you. You had a little ace draw, you get one of the 5,000. Morning. If someone tell you I got a couple dollars in the house, you probably thinking now, you know, at best it's probably one of the ace draw or something. You know, a couple dollars. You can live with that. So, the officers doing the search of the house, they discovered a large sum of cash throughout the house. Of course, there was some intelligence on this individual because his name, they do surveillance on persons who, not going into what the DU does. Once your name come on their radar and you're connected to certain people, they randomly do surveillance on you. Yeah? You may not know that. You really don't need to know that, but they do that. So they had some surveillance, so they were doing searches of the house and they found a large sum of cash. He told officers who came, look, I got between 4 million in cash in the house. 300, morning. So any red flags as yet?
Yeah.
I mean, the average person don't really keep that on their bank account, much less in the house. You know, it ain't safe and it ain't normal. Yeah? So he said that he had 4 million in cash, 300,000 from the sale of a house, and the remainder from gambling. He said that we know back in the day that the number houses, you know, God bless him, could not go to the clearing banks and just make deposits. He said that he was a broker. He would keep journals, he would keep the monies for certain number houses and so on. Yeah? Is that even safe? There's a lot of red flags. I mean, would you even open an account for this person? So, bear in mind, he said he only had 4 million in the house. Okay. He was arrested, of course. Let's be real. You go to someone's house and he tell you, look, I got 4 million in the house. Money in the grass, crowbar, all kind of stuff he ain't adding up. Yeah? He was arrested, reference to possession of proceeds of crime, because that wasn't a reasonable explanation. You say that the money came from the sale of a home. Mind you, this was the weekend. You can't confirm a lot of stuff because, you know, government offices are not open and stuff like that. He said it was the sale of a home, the money's for proceeds from gambling houses that he was brokering, he was keeping. Some stuff you just can't tell me that. I gotta verify this, so I have to take you into custody. I can't just leave you there. So he was arrested and cautioned reference to the possession of the proceeds of crime, because technically at that time he couldn't give an explanation how he got or acquired his assets. Yeah? Documents found revealed subject purchased 3 properties from a development company for $87,900. You see the difference with the 300,000 now to 87,000? Your story ain't lining up. So when you get those customers coming in, you start asking questions with source of wealth, source of funds. Some stuff don't line up. Yeah? You gotta make mental notes of your stuff, make documented notes of your stuff when you're doing your risk rating review or your assessment of the client. Some stuff ain't lining up. You have to be satisfied before you entertain that client or you on board. Make sense? The funds were counted. Now they went through all of the house and they only found 2.3 million. Now, I had some other people say, now come on, now you know them DU officers only, they 4 million. What happened to the balance? There was no balance. This is what was found in the house. 2.3 million is what was actually found in the manhole, in the boxes, and the deep freeze. And I think it was a cupboard. Yeah, so in total, 2.3. That, in and of itself, you don't normally have 2.3 million in your house. What's the largest amount you ever had in your house at one time? But no, I mean, like, it's at least what 500,000?
No.
No? It certainly ain't that much. Okay, so they found the money. And just FYI, because we had that debate, and I tell them it don't work like that. Because when they got that particular call, there's always an intelligence officer from BU in the car. And I can't swear for no one, but these are supposedly the creme de la creme. They would be called the untouchables, the uncorruptibles. I mean, I can't swear for no one, but those persons were there. They actually did the count. And of course, the supervisor have to count. They have to do a count. And then they have to do a convoy to DU, and then they do another count. So it's counted 3 times. And the money is dead out after this 2.3 million. He's saying it was 4 million.
How much was stolen? If he said 4 million.
The monies were counted 3 times.
I mean, from the robbery.
He couldn't say.
Oh.
He couldn't even say. He just said I have approximately 4 million in the house. He don't even know what all he have in the house.
Did he have a ledger?
He kept some of those crumpled up papers.
But not like a proper
no.
ledger?
No. He wasn't that organized. But I guess if the people who he supposedly owe the money to, if they come asking for the money, he needs to give account to them, because he might find him somewhere floating. You know, when you deal with drug dealers' money, they know what they give you. So he can play crazy and say, well, you know, it was only this amount or that amount. And then you wonder why sometimes you find people in the car on fire or dead, gunshots in the head or whatever. Morning.
Morning.
So you don't play around with those fellas funds. That's how that works. I guess when you're in the game, that's how it works. So the funds were counted 3 times. So please don't ask me, well, what was the difference? Ain't no difference. They counted it 3 times, and then they found $2.3 million in the house. he was interviewed and informed that he obtained $300,000 from the sale of from a house he owned. And at that point he said, you know what, I ain't talking to y'all. The difference in the money, I just say, I don't want to talk to y'all. Any suspicion is here? If you have a client and you ask, what's the source of funds? And he tell you, none of your business. Or you say, you don't need to know that. I'm bringing money to you. I'm making your business profitable, don't worry about that. Wink, wink. I only want to put this on the books. What's the problem? You benefit because at the end of the year, you meet your target, you exceed your target, you'll benefit. So what you worrying about? You see any red flags there? If a client refuses to give you information on the origin of the funds, you have to question. Someone once told me, so you need to question the obvious. If it smells like fish, it look like fish, there's a good chance it may be a fish. Yeah? So of course at that point he just shut down. I'm not gonna answer any more questions until I get my two lawyers, Wayne Monroe and Lucille. Any red flags there? They're the two best defense lawyers out there. So if you get them come walking in to defend you, there's a good chance that, yeah, because everyone can't afford them. Right? So having said that, you need to be inquisitive. As compliance officer, you need to engage that investigative gene in your mind and say, you know what, let me do some inquiries. You have to put probing questions to your client, and you have to do some research. That includes your your database searches. Perhaps what all searches engines do you have access to at your company? Do you have WorldCheck, LexisNexis, Offshore Alert, Compliance 360, Factiva? There's a number of databases that you can actually employ to do your searches, especially when it comes down to your foreign clients. You have to be able to demonstrate to the regulator that you do CDD, customer due diligence. You can't get around that. And in this case, if you're the MLRO, you'll have to go above that because you're the subject matter expert. You're piecing together this report to send to the authorities based on your suspicion. And when it gets to the FIU, they need to put a report together to send to the Drug Enforcement Unit. Yeah, there's a section in there called the tracing and forfeiture. They need to be able to trace these assets. There's certain questions that they always ask for, like financials, address verification and stuff like that. They need to know that this is the same person who they're going to be doing surveillance on. You hear when people always ask for the address verification, why do they need to know where this person lives? Sometimes these investigations pop up. Yeah, I need to have a photo of this person. I need to know where this person lives. And you're the financial institution. I assume you verified the address. So when we need to do surveillance or arrest the person, we need to know who we're looking at. Make sense? Also, financials, you need to be able to put together an audit trail. Remember the 9/11 we talked about it last time? The monies came from Saudi Arabia. It went to the accounts of these guys in the States, and they were able to be traced from simple as their debit cards. Your debit card could tell your whole life story. You don't believe me? Go in Walmart. Everyone here is go to Walmart. Go in Walmart, when you use your card, it will tell you what you purchased, date and time. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You go to the train station, you swipe, date and time you purchased that ticket. You see how you can be traced?
Mm-hmm.
Just like how those guys made the payments for their flights, simulations and all that stuff to train to be pilots, dates and time, where they went. FBI were able to look at the report and they could show where you went, where you were at this time. You know, all those stuff, when they went to the service station and swiped their card. So it was like a whole, even when they bought the little dirty magazines, all of that was there. Their habits, their lifestyle, everything is in your financials.
Do you think that's why everybody trying to go digital? Like the world itself is just everything is a debit card.
It's the way, it's the movement. It's not, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna come. We're trying to get away from all that paper. You don't need to have an armored car speeding all over the place. At some point you'll have moving to some cash, but you'll be trying to get away from all that cash. And if I'm coming to rob you, I ain't trying to rob you for your debit card. I want cash. You better come to, I just training it. I come rob you and you got a wallet full of cards. Hey, mother hose dread, you wasting my time. I still get shoot anyhow, but still at least you. But let me moving away from that. It would really cut down on robbery. And then again, who's to say the person may not hold you at gunpoint, still carry the ATM, whatever. But you know, if I got a $10 on the account, could you withdraw $10?
No.
No, the machine won't allow you to take 10 if you only got 10, right? So you still get you. Oh, okay. So the rule is at least keep 30 on your account. So just in case, so you may not get you. But so the officers from the TNF, we call them TNF, Tracing and Forfeiture Section, they were trying to piece together, just like how you as the MLR or compliance officer trying to piece together your suspicion. What they did, they went to the National Insurance Board on October 1990 through 96. This individual he earned $206 a week. So how much money he had to save to get this $4 million? If your salary is only $206 a week, that's how much overtime you end up putting in?
He was a temporary government.
January 1998 through April 2001, he earned $105.46 based on NIB records. So you see how when you have to, as a police officer, you have to build a case. So when he give you a story, you have to be able to refute it. So when he said, oh, that came from so and so, and you say, oh, okay, but your NIB record saying so and so. Oh, but I sold this property. There's no records at registrar or whatever. You see how you have to refute these claims? No other contribution was on record noted at the National Insurance. Of course, this individual, he did everything by cash. When he purchases nice sports car, you know the blue one? I ain't calling the name because you all know who I'm talking about. He paid for that in cash, by the way. Who pays for a car in cash? It ain't normal for someone to go to a car dealership and pay for a Hummer in cash, right? That's a red flag? Just saying.
I have a question.
Yes, go back.
No, you
Uh-huh.
don't need to go back. The car dealership that accepted that cash,
Mhm.
we talk about law firms and trust companies having responsibility.
They have
but
the onus is on them.
responsibility to
Yeah.
report that as well.
But they didn't. And of course, you know, that was, anyway,
So were they,
they said that they were comfortable with it. Fella, he living out east, he got wealth, so they assumed that he had means.
well, people don't deal in cash.
Well, they have access and means to it, but they didn't question it because he have access. That fella got a big house, a big 2-story, split level, and all them cars in front of the yard. They said, but he got money.
And that was accepted, like they didn't have any prosecutions, no slap on the hand, nothing.
Well, if you use them as a witness, no. You have to be able to pick your
So
poison.
they
Yes.
reduced, okay.
Yeah, you gotta.
Okay.
You can't say everyone can't go down. Someone gotta help build your case.
I don't think you
How
can
they know?
build your case, but anyway.
Well, what happened? You did surveillance, and like I said, you got officers who do the surveillance. There's a team there.
Car dealer, how they know what
How the car dealer know here?
Yeah, to me.
Let me tell you how. It's a small community. Believe it or not, you would know.
Everybody know.
You really think people in here? I bet you everyone in here know at least one knucklehead. Is that fair to say? I know hundreds. Everyone in here know the knuckleheads or alleged knuckleheads. You know. So people, when you see people, and guess what? You know how they catch a lot of people that DU. This little thing called a town. It makes no sense to have a big house, all those cars, jewelry, and all the fancy stuff if you can't brag and boast about it. They have parties. I ain't gonna call the name. Certain persons used to have these parties. They call it the Make It Rain party. They would get on the balcony and just, and then you'll see the girls there on the ground, fighting over the 20s and the 50s. Oh, you heard of the parties?
I ain't got a thing to say.
You ain't got nothing to say. Okay.
Nothing to say.
So they have the Make It Rain parties, and the guys talk because, the order of cases of Moet, and they just pour it in because money, easy money, they don't care. So you got that. So you think in the small community people don't hear about this stuff? Yes, and they brag because the first thing, like I told you back in the late '80s, the trend that we noticed with guys, they would get the Ninja bikes and the GT Mustang cars. They call them the Boss back then. You never heard of GT Mustangs? Everyone will get in those because the first thing when you make a score, you get a GT Mustang. You go and buy that cash and a Ninja bike and the rope chain, and then you give your girlfriend a couple dollars, and she go to Gorgeous Christina and get her hair done. So that was the trend. So once you see that happen, you say, okay, Elton just got a new bike. Okay, good, and his girlfriend is so and so, and then they have informants. You got persons right now on the payroll in the communities right now who, when they see things, they report it. They ain't just the crime tipsters. You see something, hear something, say something. They got people out there on payroll. Police can't be everywhere. Yeah? The same principle applies with the compliance officers. You can't be everywhere. So you depend on these little unusual reports coming into you. That's your lifeline. The staff, by extension, are your eyes and ears. Make sense? And how we pay them? They get a salary. They get to keep their jobs. Make sense? Because if something major happened and the institution is closed down, all of us out of job. Yeah? So the NIB, there was no other contribution, just a little couple dollars on record. Deeds and documents, they had to go and check on these claims that, he have all these properties and all that good stuff. And a lot of the drug dealers back in the day, they never put assets in their names, in their wives, girlfriends. And that was the trend. So you go, ain't looking at you, ain't nothing to be in your name. Always go for the sweetheart. Girlfriends, wives, parents, in-laws. It's like that. 90, his boats, they weren't in his name. In-laws' name. I ain't talking about no one family, right? 90 ain't no one family in here, right? You all don't even know who 90 is, right? You know how he even got the name 90? 90 got the name 90 because his birthday was due. And one of his little henchmen or cronies, there was a boss, we getting a throw a splash for you, man. We trying to put together, the party for you, man. You throw a couple dollars in. And you just grab a brick. It's a brick. It's a water cash and say, yeah. That's the start of the kitty. They counted and say, boss, it's like $90,000 right here, Say, well, more drinks. And the name stick. Who has a party with $90,000? I mean, think about a birthday party. How much birthday parties I got for me? That's what a gazillion parties, but ain't no thing. And that's how you get the nickname, 90. So the deeds and documents, check with the Registrar General to see if there's anything on record for this particular individual. 1990, this individual obtained a mortgage for $145,000 from a financial institution which will remain nameless. I ain't call no name. Sorry, go back. Oh, okay. In 1997, he purchased a property for $55,000 with a female companion. Of course, you never do everything by yourself, because if you have to flee or run, she would have control of that. So you don't ever put everything in just your name. More than likely, you'll have a front. And what they do sometimes, they have front companies. They form these little holding companies or front companies or vehicles, so they divest themselves from it. Yeah, that's just for show and tell.
Where was he employed?
That's show and tell.
Where was he employed?
If I tell you that, then you'll start to know who I'm talking about.
You know who you're talking about.
No, yeah, I know. You ain't gonna say Patsy's son tell you. No, boy. So in 1998, the subject, he refinanced mortgage with an insurance company. He borrowed $320,000. Remember he said he sold this property for the $300,000. Now they're saying he borrowed $320,000, and his payments was $3,628 per month. Your salary, you see the they ain't adding up with your salaries, but mortgages, that's a big mortgage.
That's a huge
That's almost
mortgage.
$4 grand. I mean,
Yeah.
bless the person who could pay it. But almost $4,000 mortgage is a lot.
That's a lot.
When you see that big household, you always see why.
But he all the money,
Can
why
you
he
say
pay off
what,
his...
Go
not the
ahead.
name of the company, but can you say what type of employment he was in during the period he was making NIV contributions? Like, was he someplace where he could have made what type of employment?
It was. I'll say this much. It was just slightly over minimum wage. I can't go into the detail.
No,
but
but I mean, was he in the service industry, construction industry? What kind of industry was he supposedly employed in making those NIV contributions?
It wasn't construction. It was more along the line of service oriented. And then, of course, with that mortgage payment. See, when you sit down and you're doing all this investigation, you try to put in your head, hey, this mortgage is so much. I mean, you guys who are lenders, some stuff don't even add up. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, all the money, and why didn't he pay off his mortgage? I don't understand.
All we trying to do is, all they trying to do is refute what he's saying,
I know, but, yeah.
And guess what? Let me tell you why he's doing that. To legitimize. Because if you got all this cash in your house, if I can secure a mortgage, I can pay that back with dirty money. You see what's happening here? I legitimize and I'm cleaning up, so I'm divesting myself of this. If I got all this
I get
cash
it.
here, I can't take it in there. But if I
Right.
could qualify for 300,000, sorry, 3,000,
That's
almost
true.
4,000, I can
Yeah.
pay that because I have the cash. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
The bank only want to know that they getting this, the mortgage payment on time. They ain't gonna
Yeah.
ask so-and-so, because he got a big house, so they assume that he doing well. But his report to National Insurance is that he is in a service-related industry and this is how he's making. So they only want to get their contributions, and the bank only want to get paid. You see what's happening there? In 2006, when you got all that cash, what you need to do after a while, if you can't put it in the bank, you probably need to convert that
Something.
from actual cash to real estate, because real estate ain't going nowhere,
No.
and it ain't gonna depreciate. But at least I have all these assets, yeah?
And the other thing is he made all of his loans to the banks before we did 2000 legislation, so 1994, 1997, 1998, you could have moved through like.
Go to the head of the class, go to the head of the class.
Yeah, because nobody was sure.
Exactly, exactly, no one's putting all of this stuff together,
No,
you
so I
know?
could see him doing that before 2000.
Exactly. Go to the head of the class. And he sold property purchased in 1997, again with a female companion. You notice every time he was attached to this female companion, but the problem with him in this scenario is that, Lord, I shouldn't be telling you all this. He had 2 female companions, and they didn't know one another. So, you know, it's a sweetheart thing going on there. So you got to be careful when you're a drug dealer, because they don't have one sweetheart, in most cases. They have what they call them.
String.
Yeah, they string along a lot of these girls, and they say, "Oh, you's number one, you know." Then they go to this next, "Oh, you's number one, you know." If something go wrong, you know, I gotta have you on documents. I gotta have you on documents. It is what it is. So information went to the FIU. They investigate all these suspicious activity. They received information from 2 financial institutions because they went out doing additional searches for the officers. October 2006. The subject deposited a check for 450 grand in a bank here locally. You call it Bank 8. Prior to the deposit, subject's balance was $476 on his account.
In 2006.
So you see,
I know that I ain't gonna go bank.
girl, why don't you behave yourself? Why are you trying to figure something out? So the analysis of account in Bank A revealed that between 2006, October and December, $440,000 was withdrawn. Check for $170,000 went to a female companion who remained nameless. So you got a string of these female companions. Of course, you know, they serve a function. Don't believe you can be rolling with these drug dealers just to be going to the parties, profiling in the passenger seat, and drinking them away. You serve a function. So when they come and they say, "Look here, sweet girl, I can buy you a little jewelry and whatever, but I get some documents I need you to sign on this document." They don't know no better. "Yeah, man, go get your hair done. But I just need you to sign right here. I can take you to the lawyer office." They don't know what they sign. But of course, while on paper they may own some stuff, it really belongs to
Did Bank
Q
A,
drug dealer.
did Bank A obtain source for this 450,000? Just yes or no, I'm trying to.
No,
No.
no. The subject balance was 4,430 at the time of his arrest. So he had that on his account. He didn't have no money. You know, for obvious reasons, couldn't justify a lot of stuff at certain banks. But he had a lot of cash home. And like he said, you know, he was a broker for the number houses. So there's a lot of stuff that just didn't line up. Subject was the whole of 3 accounts at Bank B. Savings account balance was 2,100. You doing body. You got almost 2.3 million in your house, all in all, hide all the place. But you only got like $100 in one account, 2,000 on one account. Next one, 817. Further analysis, subject deposit 20 grand to account in Bank A. So between March and June 2008, subject withdrew 16 grand from account at Bank A. 7 deposits made to bank, the total $9,159. Just some more financial information here. Check for $120, to talk about. Check for another $1,600. So in sum, the analysis or the review suggests or concluded that the subject could not have had funds for a long period of time. He really had that kind of money. What they're trying to do is to try to figure out, was it possible to accumulate all this 2.3? And I mean, at the end of the day, the answer is going to be pretty much no.
No.
Yeah? The insurance company inquiry is there. It revealed that he was constantly behind. He just couldn't keep up with his insurance payments. Any red flag yet, folks? I know y'all got 1,000. You would think he would dip into those people's money who he's supposedly holding on to, right?
Well, depending on how money it is now.
I mean, I got $1 million in my front room, and I got the bill that's due. I could borrow a couple thousand and pay that off, and put it back when I get it.
You are can pay it back. I even pay it back.
Well,
I sure they pay him for all the numbers.
Exactly.
the refinance loan was due to mature, so he had to do some refinancing there because he was behind with his loan payment. So he behind all his bills. That big house. Don't anti people with big house, all right? So you don't know how they get it. So don't rush to. Since the initial loan and the refinance loan, up to the seizure of the suspected proceeds of crime, the subject owed $267,000. So he done in the red. They did a criminal history check on this individual. Check in country A proved negative. Subject was arrested in country B for criminal association. He was linked to 1 or 2 places outside of the Bahamas. When interviewed, subject informed he sold a house in the Bahamas, deposited the funds in the bank, withdrew $340,000 in increments, in small amounts, and transferred the same money by individuals to country B. When we say individuals, who do you think those individuals were? The female, they didn't know they were being used. Ooh, Jeremy, give me all this money, tell me so I can have the difference, but make sure I wire this out or do whatever in their accounts, separate from him. See, they were clean. But he was under scrutiny, so I needed some people around me who there's no suspicion on them. So, use my girl today, use my #1 girl. I need you to send this up, whatever. Just for you. Go get yourself some new nails or something. Yeah? Wild in country B, he was robbed by 3 men. He always getting robbed. He was robbed while in
Must he boastfully?
I said it earlier. This fella, if you know this individual, he likes to talk. He always tell you, oh, I don't hang with broke people. I got money like that. Might as well make it rain parties and this and that. Well, if you keep putting that out there, what you think people can do?
They go wrong.
It ain't long before you eventually get perhaps robbed. But he was robbed based on what the checks they did in this particular country. Not near Bimini. He only 45 minutes to get there. He was robbed by 3 men, perpetrated to be police officers who robbed him. So while over there in the States, he was robbed by 3 men who said they were police officers. His gambling. You remember he said, oh, this is money from gambling and all that good stuff. Okay, no problem. His office was searched, prepared to be inoperable. The equipment was old, dated, and whatever. Receipts associated with numbers were discovered. You found a lot of scrap paper and whatever. Each receipt was analyzed and checked with the various lotteries in the United States, because he claimed that he went on 1 or 2 lotteries. Really? But anyhow. There were no evidence to substantiate his claims that he won 1 or 2 Powerballs. So, additional intelligence discovered that he was arrested, charged, convicted, incarcerated for several drug offenses in country A. Based on collaboration with counterparts in country A, investigators discovered the subject. He had an alias he was using, and he had a fake ID. Fingerprint impressions taken in both the Bahamas and country A confirmed that it was the same So he had more than one passport. Let's put it like that. One in his alias.
They were both Bahamian passports?
No. The alleged winnings from gambling was refuted. So at the end of the day, so let's talk about keeping all this money for the number houses and winning the Powerball. They found a lot of holes in this story. A lack of funds on subject bank accounts, days away from the seizure, suggests that they were recently obtained. Subject amassed a substantial amount of wealth and assets, source of which are unknown. They really never concluded where it came from. His story didn't line up. If you're a legitimate person, you got, let's say, if it was a real case and you have $1 million in your home, yeah, you ain't gonna let the courts just take that. You gonna fight that, right?
Yeah.
And I can bring my ledgers, my receipts, whatever, my accountants, whatever. Hey, no, it's a mistake. I can explain that. But if you got 4 and 5, 6 stories and you flip flopping, that money get taken. Yeah, especially when you associated with criminals before and the history of that and stuff just don't add up. So, an overview strongly suggests the seized funds suggests he's involved in or benefited from some criminal behavior. And the law says that you don't have to say what crime it is. It's just that you have to give an explanation to be found in all this funds. You can't give a reasonable explanation how you acquired this wealth. Yeah? And he couldn't give a reasonable explanation. The matter was successfully forfeited to the Crown and the monies, 2.3 million, not no 4, it went to the confiscated asset fund. So the money, and his lawyers, they fought it, but he lost the case. Yeah? He didn't do jail time. No. Because they were focusing on the asset, tracing the asset and forfeiting the assets. That's what they went after. Because think about it, if you're a criminal, the only thing that can hurt you really is the money. Because if you involve in the money,
What eventually happens to that money that was forfeited?
well, they say they use it to fix the roads, do little community work and urban renewal and all that stuff. So that's what they say. Once they go into that confiscated assets fund, the government would have to make a determination on the Prime Minister what to do with the monies. But they said it was used to fix roads and stuff like that, put up street lights. I mean, it gotta be true, the government said.
Is he still a broker?
Man, why you don't behave yourself? What you trying to? But today he actually, without giving away this individual, his life was threatened so many times since then. We don't do business with him at my institution because of his checkered past. But he's still doing foolishness. He don't have to be broken no more because the number racket is legalized. Okay? But he's doing some other stuff. You know, because he is also associated with drug dealers. So what's to say that the monies that he has now cannot be tied to criminal conduct from drugs? We're not interested in him at my institution. You know, so ain't nothing gonna happen. So that was the case. I promised you I would give you it. Now we can get into today's lesson.
We can't see one picture with the money inside the house.
No. Why are you trying to get me in problems, man?
Inside the house, we're not, just one picture, we're not gonna be able to tell who's home.
I don't give you enough clothes to get us a house out east. It's a 2-story house.
I don't give anybody $20 if they know who we talking about. There was.
Oh boy, but look, I'll give you one last clue and that's the end of it. I ain't gonna talk with you. You ain't getting up it. You trying to lock me up. Why are you trying to do this to me today?
Inside the house, I can get anybody at it.
I won't put you in danger. That ain't fair. That would be fair to you because you can go drive past the house. That can be in the back of your head when you leave this class. That means past the house. Well, the interesting thing is if you see the inside of this particular individual house, I ain't never seen that much, well, phones in one house. You got more phone, one room is just like, it's just phones, cell phones, all, I mean like everyone in the world is calling me different cell phones, just line off, and just phones and fax machine. I'm like, dude, this is your house or what? And it's like, it looked like a little, it's a room not even, it's for 1/3 of this and it's just phones and computers.
He's a businessman.
Business doing what though? But I mean, I guess, more power to him, right? But the thing about him is that he doesn't sleep well at night. I think he does most of his sleeping in the day. Yeah? He don't sleep in the night. But that's the life you live, right? And I'm not gonna cry for those guys. If you're doing foolishness, then on you. So, which brings us now to today's topic. Some of it may overlap from previous class, international standards, because I did touch on international standards briefly, and customer due diligence. And again, the customer due diligence is basically Lord, who would be calling me on my Nokia early in the morning? Yeah, just no, it isn't Nokia.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna get this year. I'm gonna get one of the what is it called, the G what? What's called it? The G what? G5? Something.
I mean, J5.
J5? Yeah, I'm gonna get.
Samsung Galaxy J5.
Yeah, I can get one of them.
Really smart.
You know, I couldn't find a charger for
Because
this.
my son has
What? No, it's hard to find chargers for this. You gotta go on eBay to get it. So, yeah, you gotta, anyhow, you know, laughing. So, what I forget what I was saying. Oh yeah, international standards and customer due diligence. We can get into that. And like I said, some may overlap, but it'll be a quick refresher. Areas of discussion. Financial Action Task Force, the FATF, what is international standard, designing of AML compliance system or systems, again, the board responsibility, your legal obligation, the role of your money laundering reporting officer, internal policies and procedures. That shouldn't be policies twice, it should be procedures, and one case study. And from last class, I did touch on the FATF. That's the international body, the G20 countries who set the policies for the rest of the world to follow. And that's the industrialized countries, United States, France, China, Germany, and all that. They get together and say, this is what the rest of the world should be doing in the fight against money laundering and terrorist financing. We did a touch of that. They came up with 40 recommendations on how that should be achieved. And then they came up with 9 special recommendations to fight terrorist financing. Yeah? And again, what is the international standard? It all starts with recommendation number 1. All countries, and I have that bold. So it's amazing because I always say when the United States say something, it's interesting because they say all countries should do this. They don't play by half of the rules that they come up with. You don't find that interesting?
Very.
But of course, at the end of the day, they're the only superpower in the world. Yeah? They're the economic success in the world right now. And if they say this is what you're going to do, in the Bahamas, we got to determine how high we're going to jump. So all countries, no one is exempted, should identify, assess, and understand the money laundering and terrorist financing risk for that country, and should take action and design an authority or mechanism to mitigate, fight, detect any possible money laundering and terrorist financing. So basically they say, hey, everyone, you gotta fight money laundering in some. Yeah? And you have to do the assessment, come up with ways to detect it, but we can give you some recommendations. That's the short version of it. We good with that? Meeting international standards, you either meet them or you get blacklisted. They say this is the recommendation for everyone to do. You need to be in line with that. Adhere to that, or we can blacklist you. We'll tell the rest of the world that she is not cooperating. She is not interested in fighting money laundering and terrorist financing. We don't suggest you do business with her or her jurisdiction until she is in line or conforms with best practices, international best practice based on our principles. Yeah? So, unfortunately on the 22nd of June, I have a little bit of sinus, so that it ain't me. The weather changed overnight and it started to rain and all that stuff, and I had the fan on too. So, fan is making it get a cold too. Yeah, I gotta turn that off. So it's a little sinusy thing. Okay, so on the 22nd of June 2000, of course, quick reminder, the Bahamas was blacklisted, remember that? We weren't doing enough according to their standard in the fight against money laundering, and we were non-cooperative, especially as it relates to tax initiative. And at the end of the day, everything boils down to money. Don't let no one fool you, oh, it ain't just the fight against terrorism and them. At the end of the day, a lot of these initiatives got something to do with money. If all of the monies are leaving the Bahamas, all our wealthy behemoths are moving the monies out of the Bahamas and hide it in jurisdictions, who the government gonna tax to carry out the initiatives, to paving the road and give you street lights better, healthcare, NHI, which is, you hit with that zone. So all this other stuff. So you see the problem there? So the industrialized countries get together and say, no, we can't have all our monies leaving, going off to these out of these secret tax havens, you know? We need to know who they are, so we can have these rules. And the Bahamas, you know, we being, what is our number one industry? Tourism, and then financial services, and being known as a offshore financial center. Yeah, and because of that, believe it or not, as much as we love the United States, and I love Walmart, but they don't like the idea of a lot of the taxable assets coming here. It's being hidden. And that's why you see all these legislations and stuff coming up. FATCA in Europe with the CRS, they will need to know where the assets are going. Yeah? At the end of the day, it's all about assets. And it ain't all about just money laundering. But of course, tax evasion is a predicate offense to money laundering, because it's breaking their law, and it's a predicate offense. So, they say, oh, that's money laundering. It is what it is. So, having said that, the Bahamas was seen as delaying and restricting responses to requests for assistance from other jurisdictions. They need to know where the monies are going. So we were not cooperative enough. And I wouldn't lie, we wasn't helping our case. Because those MLATs, mutual legal assistance treaties, with other countries, we responded in some instances late. And be like, oh, we get to it when we get to it. KYC wasn't in order. Let's be real. Prior to that blacklisting, you all know we weren't operating at full capacity with KYC. But after the blacklisting and we were removed, and the requirements, new requirements, you didn't come in with just that little yellow card being filled out. Now you had a little booklet you need to complete. And my institution, which will remain nameless, last year there was 15 pages to complete an account opening process. 15 pages. We're down now to 3. You know, the Prime Minister just talking just Monday past, ease of opening account, and it's just onerous and it's like crazy and all that stuff. I get that. For low risk clients, not a problem. I could see where he's coming from. I mean, inclusiveness. You need I can see you getting someone in and out for a low risk account. Fella just selling water by the light by Marlon Marathon. He really imposed too much risk. I mean, it shouldn't be as onerous perhaps. But some stuff still need to be verified. Let's not get too crazy now with that. We still need to perform some KYC. But we'll get to that later in the presentation when we get to risk-based approach. It's never one size fit all. Why? Because it's unlikely that 2 clients are the same. Everyone poses a different level of risk. See what I'm saying? Some could be low, some could be medium, some could be high. But you have to build that profile, and it's a case-by-case basis. Yeah? So, we lacked information on beneficial owners of trusts and IBCs, which issued bearer shares back in the day. So you see, we got back to this beneficial ownership again. And the United States want to know who their citizens are, who's benefiting by hiding assets. Remember I told you a little over a year ago, the United States suggested strongly that we have a ultimate beneficial ownership registry, which will be coming online this year. And of course, if regulators or law enforcement require this information, they can go right there to that registry and get it. And of course, you know, the United States will be tapping into that by way of regulators. They'll go from regulator to regulator to get information. Of course, they can go by way of TIAs, Tax Information Exchange Agreement. And then there's FATCA. There's so many mechanisms, it's almost hard to hide if you want to do monies here. And if they really wanted to get it, they can get it, the information. So what's the use of bringing the money here if I don't want to know? Will that hurt the IBC business, perhaps? in any way? Have you seen a reduction in IBCs? I don't know. You guys gotta tell me. Is it attractive to bring your monies here?
Depends on what you're trying to do.
That too.
Is asset protection, if you're not strong asset
Mm-hmm.
protection. It depends on what you want. If you want to avoid being taxed and over, there are other advantages, that's what's not.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But the fact that you have this UBO registry and that Uncle Sam, if he wants, we can tap into that. Does the average wealthy high net worth client want anyone to know their business, or there's a depository with all this information locally? Just saying, some things to think about. And of course, when it was being proposed on the bill, it was said that it cannot be open to all and sundry. Everyone will need to just go to the registry and be able to access that. It should only be accessible to law enforcement and regulators, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Everyone will need to know your company, who the UBs or UBOs are. Just saying.
But law enforcement can do
Yeah, but the United States made a recommendation, so it is in line with their recommendation. But you know how it is. They want multiple streams of accessing data. That is by FATCA, which is annually or biannually or MLATs or tiers, or they just want to have all that access readily. Yeah? Certain intermediaries can avoid revealing the identity of their clients. So you see all this stuff. The international community said, you know what? The Bahamas is just too lax. And based on that, we were blacklisted. Basically, it was an advisory saying, okay, don't do business with them until they fix these deficiencies. Because how they're operating right now, there's a possibility money laundering and terrorist financing can fester in that environment. But that ain't a good thing, right? The same thing that we used last time in Natalie Holloway. Remember we were talking about the terrorism? One lady practically killed the tourist industry for maybe 2-3 years. Only one woman got killed, you know. One woman got killed. And they tell this, Americans do not go to Aruba. If 2,000 Americans get blown up at Prince George Wharf, that advisory can be on us for how long?
Yeah.
For a little while, right? They have advisory right now, don't go to fish fry, you gotta be careful, but they've reduced it though. They came back and said that, you know, it's sort of safe now, you can go back. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, you only need one citizen to make a complaint, you know. They run to the embassy and say, boy, I was about to fish fry. Fella voiced me, hit me with a Guinness bottle in my head, and that right there could be an advisory. Oh, what? You got hit in your head? And there was many of them, having many bottles, and it was they exaggerate. You know Americans when they exaggerate, and an advisory is placed on us, and that right there may not be a true picture of what took place. You know. Look at the young American Marine. He went to St. Frogs. You know, if you all heard the story in the paper, and he started whooping the staff and beating up security. And the young officers came, and because with that Marine training, he started beating them up and whatever, you know. And then that was a big deal. He was the one, he was the aggressor. But you don't talk that. But one fella got hit with a bottle. And and you see, it's America. It is what it is. And of course, you know, with the U.S. Embassy, that's, even though it's based in the Bahamas, once you walk through the door, that's U.S. soil. You can't come to UK, that's U.S. soil. Of course, they're building the new embassy here on Shirley Street. You all know about that, right? Opposite Voice Caribbean. That's going to be the new embassy. And of course, they got to prepare a little bunker on the ground. You know, I'm trying to blow nothing up. But of course, they got to sanitize it and level it off and have the underground. That embassy have a bunker too, by the way. They call it a panic room or whatever. You know, I'm trying to run. Only thing the enemies do is make noise. We don't make no explosives. We ain't on that run. But of course, they have to make it to meet the standard of the other embassies. I wouldn't even talk about the Chinese one. You don't even know what all they got there because you don't even see it there. The one further down Shirley Street. Yeah, I tell you, boy. Sorry?
I said, don't even see the top of the room.
You see that, and then the cameras, right? And you even ain't passing there, you just walking by the camera, they following you. Like, I ain't trying to go to China. But I mean, like, you can get some good stuff in China now. But I mean, the average payment ain't really want to go to China. I'm not like that customer the other day now who want to get a $10,000 with an Indian remy from China. I didn't know what it was, but y'all know about that story. So, international standard, there are various bodies you would need to make yourself familiar with. You will get more familiar with this during the course of your reading material. Again, this is supplemental, the presentation. It's in your booklet, like the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF. We've been talking about that for a while. Then we do have the regional version of that. It's called the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. They operate similar to FATF, but it's on a regional base, and it's just exclusive to the Caribbean territories. You have the OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Again, it's an intergovernmental economic organization with just 35 member countries. Again, these are some of your more industrialized countries. And I hope you notice this. With those type of organizations, you notice it's the haves who really calling the shots, not really the have-nots. So once they make the decision, it'd be nice sometimes to invite us to the table, or even if it's just as observer status, but they make the decisions and then it comes to, okay, now you guys in the Caribbean, this is what you gotta do, the rest of the world. So, IMF, the International Monetary Fund, you heard of those guys a lot. It's an organization of 189 countries working to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce poverty around the world. And of course, they do give out a lot of loans. We borrow money from all the time. Every time you hear, oh, we're going to go borrow 500 million from them, or we can borrow this or whatever. At some point, you have to pay it back.
You pay membership fees, please.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, excuse me a second. It's going to blow my nose again. Tell you again to the code. One second.
You want it?
Alright, so these are just a few of the international standard bodies. These are the guys who set the pace for the rest of the world. And again, I started to say with the IMF, they do give a lot of loans. They did make a recommendation to us early January 2018. We should really look into medicinal marijuana. I don't know why would they even say that, but I mean, they say, you know, you guys ain't really making nothing. You know, because we're not really a manufacturing country. We really don't manufacture. What do we make anyhow? Onions. If you could make onions, okay, I guess we can grow onions. But okay, so we don't really manufacture anything. So they suggested that, you know, with this debt, you know, it's ballooning every year, perhaps we could consider growth of marijuana for medicinal purposes, you know, in a controlled environment, and perhaps legalizing marijuana and all that good stuff. Like in Jamaica, you can have 5 plants per household per person. Yeah, I gotta confirm it because I know my colleague who's in our subsidiary over in Jamaica. She always saying, oh, you know, got 6 plants in the back of the yard. How do you control that? Because if you tell Bahamians you can have 6 plants per person, who can monitor that? Because you know some people live in the bush. So if you live in the bush, you think I only got 6 plants? Yeah.
No fields.
Fields, forests in the back of your yard. Yeah. I mean, there is. But I mean, they said, you know, money ain't dope. You could for medicine, and you get use your stock exchange, you can trade in that, so it's money in there. And you can cut down on the debt. And of course, right now, we have a commission, that was, the government, the former commission who's reviewing it right now, they'll prepare a report before the end of summer on their take on it, and I can tell you, they can say, yeah, let's go with it. Because, you know, people who got seizures and medical conditions, cancer, and it's good treatment and all that stuff.
5 plants per household.
Only 5?
Yeah,
But why she tell me 6?
5 per household.
Okay. But let's be real now, you know the back of the, I got a yard that's what, 100 by 70. In the back of the yard, I got 5 plants. And you know, you ever watch marijuana plants, they grow tall, they grow quickly. So, and then you know, I got some neighborhood buying and stuff, so I in the back of my yard sitting down, next thing I mellow. I don't know what's going on. I smile and I eating all kind of cheese doodle for no reason. Because, you know, it is what it is. But ain't no one in here gonna ever support it. Sorry?
I said you'll have a month of no crime if everybody's now eliminating checks.
That's never thought of that though. But think about it. Okay, we can put a flip on that too. We can put a flip side because they say that government workers are not as productive. So, or taking marijuana, you think the productivity will drop?
Just to be good.
I come into work what time?
10 o'clock.
10:30. And I go and get my dollar breakfast. So you know ain't nothing happening until at least noon. And then you know it's time to get off.
Yeah.
School pick up.
School pick up. I never figured out if you gotta be awake for 9, how come you come in with your breakfast? Didn't you have to stop to get the breakfast? Why did you just come to work or make a sandwich home then bring it? Why? But anyhow, I guess some things would be going on in my head. And then they'll say, well, I ain't eat yet. You know, and I got some crew white with too, and they're like, they in the kitchen and they, you know, like, you don't mind, you're done late, you know. In the office, they done late. All I can hear on the TV, because the TV happened to be next to my office. All I hear all day, you are not the father. I'm like, what the frick? They're watching Maury Povich all day. They done late for work. I said, you know, it's unproductivity in the private sector do now. Well, I don't want to fool you now. Maybe once again now? Oh yeah. So as a result of the blacklisting, our approach had to change. Because let's be real. There's some stuff we were doing wrong. You know, guys were coming in with little duffel bags and all that stuff. And we needed to get up to par with the rest of the world. Yeah? You agree? I know it might seem cumbersome, but let's be real, some stuff we just didn't have in place. So our AML laws were created, and we started looking at business based on risk-based approach. Yeah? So back in the day, the fella, he'll come in with his little duffel bag and say, hey, you, bank manager, I want to put this on my account. I know you mean you want to put like maybe a slow 100, 200. This dude would bring in a duffel bag, you know? And they go in a little room, come back out the receipt, and that's it. Or he may go to his safety deposit box. And safety deposit boxes too was a big risk too. I remember when, mid-90, when we were trying to trace his assets, I went to a particular bank, and called the name of the bank, but it's on Prince Charles. And of course he had to blow the lock and all of that stuff. And there was a lot of cash in there. I mean, like a lot of cash. I think on paper, well, not on paper, but he probably was, no, you know one richer than Brent. Brent Seminar, he got enough, but now he was probably in the top 5. That dude had cash all over the place and nothing was in his name. All the in-laws or the family, the, you know, kids and whatever, but he had a lot of cash. And of course, one thing with him, he always knew what he had. I mean, he wasn't an educated fella, but he know you owe him 70,000. He know you owe him 40,000. It's like, how do you remember all that stuff? But you, if he come up short, he'll know, because you'll get a visit from some fellas who can be, what they say, spitting hot fire. So our approach had to change. The new laws were created, and we started looking at business on a risk-based approach. Yeah? And not just a tick the box. As a matter of fact, he didn't have no box to tick because back then it was so relaxed. We weren't meeting the international standard as it relates to KYC. Let's be real. Prior to the blacklist, how much people used to talk about KYC? Prior to 2000, how many persons actually taught about ED, enhanced due diligence, KYC, and international standards? No one ever talked about those stuff. But get blacklisted. And everyone became an expert on KYC and AML and all that stuff. I'll be honest with you, I never talked about his value. Yeah? So, things had to change. We started to adopt what's called a risk-based approach to doing business. A risk-based approach includes doing some of the following, and not limited to, risk identification and assessment. You need to profile your customers, the products and services that you offer, how they're going to receive these services and products, geographical location of these clientele, because back then we were getting, prior to 2000, it was the norm to get customers from Bahrain, Pakistan, Iran. We even had a request at one point when I was at the FIU where it was discovered that some money for Sani Abacha. Anyone familiar with that name? The dictator, African dictator? Sani Abacha? Anyone, if you have a phone, just Google Sani Abacha. Where it was traced some of his monies. You never heard of Sani? No, never heard of Sani Abacha. Really? You all don't know your dictators? But anyhow, he some of his funds were traced here at a local institution, and it was frozen, and it was
Offshore or commercial?
offshore. Boy, you deep now. Okay, you. Yeah, it wasn't traced. It was traced to his immediate family, and and they said, oh, positive match, and it came from the country. But of course, prior to the this would have happened prior to 2000, but the monies were on the books. Yeah. So geographical location does play a part in it too, because there are some corrupt countries. They call it the Transparency International. They have an index they roll out every year to say which is the highest countries for corruption and the lowest. The Bahamas, we're at 28 now,
Well, how much?
at least 28.
Hold on, how many?
I think it was like 160 something countries they have on this index. And the Bahamas, they say we improved from 29 to 28 now. Ain't really much, but I mean, in the right direction is progress. What do you think is the least corrupt country? The United States. The United States of America. You will ever believe that?
No.
Anyhow, only in this world, right? But then of course you gotta, I guess, what criteria they use. Risk management and mitigation. You have, when it's talk about risk-based approach, you have to be able to say how are we gonna mitigate if this person turns out to be a bad client. You have to have what we call controls in place. Yeah, to mitigate. If it's like I said, the peanut vendor on the street, ain't nothing really. What's the great loss of risk? You can bring in maybe $100, $200 a week. But if you got a member of parliament come out with a briefcase with some funds and he's in a scandal right now, yeah, that changes things. That changes stuff. Risk monitoring, you have to monitor those individuals. It's not just onboarding the person and assigning them the risk rating at the onboarding stage. It could change during the course of the relationship. John Doe may come in as a low risk rate client today. Then, let's say a year or two later, he decides to run for public office. He's now a tap, perhaps. His status changes. Yeah? Or maybe the line of business he is in. Because we've had persons come to my institution and they're like, oh, we want to be doing online gaming. You say, okay, what's the name of your company? And as soon as we go and we check it, it's online girls. You girls 24 hours, this and that. It's like, boy, but I thought you said it was games. They say, yeah, it's closely associated with the girls. They come on and they will talk to you and everything. Boy, I know about that. Now, who's be talking? What kind of talking you all be doing? Oh, we'll come on and we'll talk to you, and somewhere in the conversation, I don't know, sweater may come off, or he's like, no, that's online. No, we ain't interested in that foreign stuff. Because we have something called reputational risk too. We don't want to be known as the institution for that kind of stuff. We're not interested in that. But online gaming is an issue for our correspondent bank. Yeah, we're not interested in that. So, are you gonna compromise your correspondent banking relationship for one client? Hell no. You know how hard it is to get a correspondent banking relationship? And if you are exited just to get a new one, it is not an instant process. You think opening an account with them 15 pages, but they give you them 10 phone books and say, just complete these. You're like, damn, maybe we can finish that. You don't want to be in those kind of situations. Documentation. Rule number one, document, document, document. If you don't document, it never took place. You can do all the risk assessment, all the reviews, but if it's only in your head and it's not documented, that's a risk. One, for the regulators. Perhaps internally, you may have your internal audit or your external audit, and it's okay, you did all of this stuff, we hear what you're saying. Quantify that, where you're supporting documentation. If it's not documented, it didn't take place. That's the only thing I can tell you. It's basic CYA. Cover your assets. Yeah? You have to do that. If anything you learn, document everything. You may not have a form for that. Put a memo to file. On such and such a date, so and so, at least it's on the file. Central Bank, they always tell us this when they come to test us. We would never tell you what form to use or whatever. We just want you to know that it's done in line with our regulation. They'll say, close that door at 5 p.m., turn off the lights. However you do it, we want to know that door is closed at 5. We, whoever doing it, we don't care. But at 5, that door needs to be closed and locked. Make sense? So if you all do it by committee, if you all want to stand on a straight line on 1 foot, with your eye closed, however, they ain't going to tell you how to do it, but 5 o'clock, that needs to be closed. Make sense? Yeah?
Yes.
So, continue with the risk-based approach in determining whether a customer requires simplified due diligence, because all customers are not the same. Because, believe it or not, we size up people all the time. When someone walks through the door, you will say, oh, yeah, he looks like a good customer based on the information and whatever. Yeah, let's be real. Let me give you a case in point. So I can't remember your name. Warren. Let's just say now, Warren, your 18-year-old daughter, Jamelia. She says, Jaden, okay, that's close. Jaden says, Daddy, I need you to meet someone. I need you to meet Rupert. He comes, and the fella comes. Okay. I want you to meet Sylvester. Last name is Stallone. So he comes to the house, foreign grip, how you doing, sir? You're like, oh, okay. He finally met someone nice. He's very articulate. He's from the Sylvester's Old East. Yes, he's so I'm going to go places, so. And he tells you all the right stuff on your daughter. She is like the blue waters of the Kilimanjaro and all that stuff. He tells you all this nice stuff, and you're like, wow, this big time, he's a keeper. He goes to sit down, and you notice his ankle monitor on his leg. What is your perception? What has changed?
I can see how you get locked up. He's a fluff. He's a flam. He's
I mean, are you going to support this relationship?
No.
But daddy, people change. I mean, yeah, he got the monitor on, but that's only for 6 months. Eventually they'll take it off once you win this case.
What is his case?
We don't know. But the fact that you have a monitor on, you're a flight risk. You can be out a certain time. You can't leave a certain radius. You have to go into the station, sign the little Mile Butler book, where they have your right to sign it at a certain date and time. So you're restricted. So I mean, right there, you're profiling. So simplified due diligence is different. So you can't use one brush stroke and say this for everybody. Everyone poses a different level of risk. And let's be real, perception does play a part. I mean, the fact that you see him coming in, he crossed his leg, he talking to you, nicest guy in the world, I rooting for him too, but that monitor on his leg though. I mean, who he killed? I mean, like, I don't know if I'm feeling him right now, my 18-year-old daughter. He's a risk now in your mind. Just like how we on board, are you willing to accept him? You're not saying no, but like your daughter say, people change. That's like how we tell our staff, hey, it's a business. This ain't no halfway house. I don't get caught. I don't get emotionally when they start saying, but the person changed. This person's now Holy Ghost filled, water baptized. And I'm just listen, yeah, okay. But the criminal record and their profile and this and that, that ain't enough to mitigate. See what I'm saying? Go ahead.
The institution I probably worked for on one of the client who was in jail for 6 months because he purchased explosives when he was in university, didn't know he had to get approval for explosives, like
himself.
Yeah, he was doing something
Mhm.
purely innocent, 6 months, but they were like, that happened in university.
Yeah.
He has a record, but in the grand scheme of things,
Mm-hmm.
how long you gonna allow?
Hold that over his
something?
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a case by case for us because we do have a risk committee. And then again, you know, like I said, you know, we have persons who, for stuff like, who might have been a broker before. And they had their license suspended for a period of time. And we say, okay, we got that. He did his time this much, 5, 6, 10 years ago, whatever. He's now credible again. Yes, they may have that little stay in there, but we could not an issue. You know, but perhaps it's someone like a, and I hate to keep using her again, like a Keva. And she's easy, she's low hanging fruit, because the fact that when you go to World Check, and it says designated drug kingpin, that'll be on her for life. If you do it right now, it'll Google her for World Check, because she is designated by the U.S. government, because she's tied to her husband. To be a designated drug kingpin, you have to sell at least 1,000 pounds of marijuana. And we know they sell way more than that. So I mean, for exported purposes, right? That's a lot of dough. That ain't gonna never come off, even though they broke her deal. Her husband said, I'll rattle, you know, just let her out. And she didn't have to do jail time. Even though that was the case, is it safe to say that she benefited of all those years from some of that? Yeah. And that ain't coming off. So when your correspondent bank, let's just say a transaction is done in US dollars, and for whatever reason there's a stop, and your correspondent bank, let's say a Wells Fargo, and they check the name, okay, let's just randomly check, oh, okay, hold on now. This person is a designated drug kingpin. We conducted KYC on you. You're a client of, my bank is a client of Wells Fargo. Your underlying client, I'm sure you do KYC on them. But we found negative information on them. Did you not know this person was designated drug kingpin? What kind of KYC do you do? Because we rely on you. Yeah, because as a financial institution, you know, we talk about reduced or simplified due diligence. Because you're a regulated entity, it's reduced because you know better. Or you're supposed to do certain things. But if you let all these people come in, and you see how we got to take it by case, so it ain't that we don't, well, we took the position that no, we're not interested. If it's going to affect our correspondent bank and reputational risk, we would just cut bait. We wouldn't be interested in taking them on. And I hate when staff, they would call me sometimes and say, well, what did we tell them? They know they were selling dope. And like they didn't know. They act like, you know, they'll come in and go, why don't you want to open the company? What did I do? Like, really? You don't even have a job. I mean, like, think about it for a second. You, like, come on, dude. You know you were selling dope and everything like that. You can't get back in the States. You don't even want to see an airport. So you think we want to take you on? Interesting. What she need? I mean, she don't have a job, so what you need an account for anyhow? What do you need an account for? Just to say you got an account? You're the crook.
Everything digital now.
Huh?
I said everything digital now, so I didn't.
And I mean, I thought I was actually rooting for the husband because when he came back after being released from Supermax, I said, yeah, maybe, because they say he was saved. Then 3 o'clock in the morning, they found him with all that cash and dope in the guy.
That doesn't make no sense. Like,
Do it.
why?
Do it. You.
Yeah.
But what happened with the same part? Did you say the
Where's
same?
little millions? Why he doing that? I couldn't
You
understand.
just get out of federal prison. I mean, I guess there's sometimes, you know, you go back to what is easy for you, what you
That's
know.
fine, but I mean, why he on that hour doing that?
Make money.
Oh, you make money while you sleeping. Sad.
Yeah, but I mean, that's all I know, and I know how to make money quick. Do
I
this.
couldn't understand it when they had.
Yeah, but I said, why did he get locked up again? But suffer to say. So of course, it's a risk-based approach, and it comes back down to it. Persons are tied to criminal news or negative news. You probably got to be. That's a red flag too. And then you have to dig a little deeper, you know, before you quickly onboard those persons. If it's something like like a little let's just say a little misdemeanor, you slap someone, whatever. You don't check in for that kind of stuff. But major financial crimes, drugs, embezzlement, stuff like that. Oh yeah, you get our attention quick. Then it's a little higher than you. Perhaps you have to go to the risk committee to get further input because you don't want to just take it on yourself.
Just for a bank account.
Yeah, for a bank account. You may just make the call right there and say, you know, when it's someone just clear cut, you could say, no. But then you have with the, like, non-personal accounts, entities like those, you'll say, you know, let's take it to perhaps the risk committee and get their take on it. Some decisions you don't want to take on your own.
Credit union would do all this experience.
I can't really say too much about the credit union, but I know that we had to, one or two persons who are on our radar, we saw transactions going through credit union account which were with us, and we said, hey, that need to cease and desist because or we'll exit this relationship.
Weren't the credit unions recently put under CB, they weren't under CB before?
No, they are now.
I think their regulations, they are required now to have their staff.
Yeah, they are.
I think a few years ago they were, I don't know who's regulating that, but now they're under CB.
They are, yeah. So the standard is high for them too. They're on the same level with us in terms of KYC, EDD, and all that stuff. But of course, you know, they didn't see an issue with it, and B's like, no, we have an issue with that. Those two clients ain't nothing happening. So they either drop them or discontinue transactions for that particular client to us, or it ain't gonna happen because whenever you get questions from your correspondent bank, when they have concerns, we're not gonna jeopardize that relationship for no one client, no one off. It ain't happening. It's a case like this. You want to have your correspondent bank for your US dollars transaction cut off for one behaving client? Ain't nothing happening. We give them,
I have one correspondent bank or office.
we have more than one, but it's one major one, particular Wells Fargo. That's the bulk that goes through there. And that's the bulk of our queries come through Wells Fargo. And of course,
Who got fined?
sorry,
Wells Fargo got fined?
they get fined every day.
I know.
But then they come in every year and they give us training and say, this is what you shouldn't do, and what you should do.
Opening all those
Of
accounts?
course, and Wells Fargo get fined every other day. But of course, who needs who more?
That's all it is.
They write a check and pay the fine. But the question is this, who needs who more? We need them more than they need us. We have the Wayne Shaw, he's the regional head of AML. He comes in every year and gives us training. Now you guys are in agreement, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I said, wow,
Foolishness.
y'all getting fined every day though.
That's right, exactly.
But of course, I mean, like I said, you know, he also remind us, you know, we don't really need y'all. Ain't like y'all really bringing in that much money in the Caribbean. We doing y'all a favor. You're but de-risking, right? So Wells Fargo said they're gonna de-risk Caribbean countries, then what? Remember Montserrat? They were de-risk. And they can't operate in US dollars, so they have to go to another territory. So I mean, like you see how you get crippled? We depend on tourists. Y'all don't make nothing, I tell you that. So with the risk-based approach, you have, in some instances you can do simplified due diligence because it could be an entity that's highly regulated, so they're expected to know better, and they're held at a different standard. And of course, you may have a client who's risk rated high, and you're expected to do above and beyond basic CDD. You have to do EDD. CDD, your basic. EDD, you have to even go deeper and ask more questions. Yeah? That's CDD and EDD. It's basic, yes.
Just a small question.
No,
I'm in the transfer business. If in cases where you have customers, 4,000 want to transfer money to someone in the States for medical purposes, but they can't prove that it's for, they don't have any proof as to what the person is going to use the money for. They send somebody money to somebody shops for them, and so forth. Right?
Happen every day. The central bank has relaxed the standard on, I think, how much it moved to. I gotta get a copy of it and bring. That wouldn't even be an issue.
No.
No, man.
I find them giving people problems because of that.
No. There shouldn't be no problem because the central bank, they relax transfers and those amounts. Yeah, man, that ain't nothing to talk about. I probably bring in next class because I can give you the amounts on what they relaxed on. We actually had a session on that. Exchange control came in. Yeah, they relaxed that because we're in the environment right now of ease of doing business.
Yeah.
The central bank has been inundated with complaints. Persons cannot open accounts, they can't send monies out, and the Prime Minister again has given marching orders. Hey, I'm trying to bring in foreign direct investors, and I'm bringing people who want to invest, and they don't need to have all this headache with opening accounts or moving funds. Make it Don't give me no excuse. Tell me what we need to do as a government to make it happen.
And they wanna rank better on the IMF scale. The
Yes.
scholars really know, so they try to
Yeah, of
improve
course,
the
when you
scale.
rank better on those scales, you can
Yep.
borrow more.
Borrow more money.
And you know we is borrow money. We need to be able to borrow more money. And how much, I think they borrowing like 500 million now for what again?
What?
It was on the news, oh yeah, I think it's the digitalization of government. They wanna do a
Public
better
service,
process,
digitalization.
public service and some other stuff, but they're gonna borrow another 500 million. But we have to. The only way we could, to get the infrastructure in now, so when things completely turn around, then at least you'll have the infrastructure. Hopefully by then, the point will be open, that'll be up and running, and they'll go to the next phase of Burma and any other, investments in the pipeline. They're trying to attract the investors, but you have to have the infrastructure in place. So we have to borrow your way out of this until we can do better. Yeah, no, I'm not, I saw an article the other day, I think it was Friday's paper, where Julian Francis said that, we may not meet our projections, and we may have to increase tax. Probably, maybe in the next year or two, we may be looking at 15%. Sorry? Sorry, what?
Say that's gratuity.
Why?
Imagine I pay my government gratuity.
But, I mean, that's the only way the government can run, we may have to get that,
Not
tax.
if they get the houses to pay the taxes they want.
Oh, they can fight that, they can fight that.
They can fight it, but if the government gets the daily houses to pay that higher rate of tax, we ain't gonna work.
Well,
Because that's where the shortfall is, the government is looking for. They expected that revenue, and they haven't worked.
well, they well, the tree problem, I know there's talk about perhaps moving the tax up to 15. Then with the medicinal marijuana, with the commission, if they give a report, then we perhaps can legalize it, or put some control environment. And then, wait, this is the marijuana, and then of course the virtual currencies and the blockchain technology and having all these investors go into free fall
Freeport.
with that.
As opposed
To
to
revitalize free fall.
Silicon Valley.
We're depending on marijuana, virtual currency, and tax. Unless you got some other else creative idea.
I have no creative idea, but they're talking about legalizing the sex worker profession.
That has been, I was listening to talk shows.
Sex workers, like prostitution.
Oh, you mean,
Those kind of things, legalizing it and taxing it.
Jesus.
Well, I don't know if you noticed the trend right now, I was down in Curacao the other day, and
Not much.
I didn't realize it was that free, because I mean, they like, my colleague said that, hey, you straight? I say, yeah, I straight. You mean by straight? You mean by that time to eat? He said, no, I mean, you good for the night? He's like, yeah, I got what you mean. He said, dude, you could always go and play your head. I say, what you mean, marijuana? He said, no, man, the problem. So I say, oh, okay, no, all right, man. He say, no, man, you can pick and choose. You go to the display window, just like you in the frozen section, the food store, and you just pick and choose. You just pick and choose. I like that one.
That's an awful description of a human being.
But finally, it is what it is because it brings in money. I said, but how much does it bring? He said, that could be easily $4 million easy.
Yep.
Easy, just like that. You just, US with cruise ship partners, they love that down
Yeah,
there. It's like,
that's what someone was saying as well.
all they gotta do, I think it's every month or quarterly, they gotta get their medical
HIV
certificate
and all
and they
that
show you that,
stuff.
hey, see, I'm straight, I ain't got the thing. And they got their little certificate up and,
Christian Council will fight that.
yeah, and you got your.
Definitely.
But when you think about the vices,
Thank you.
there is money in vices. I ain't knocking numbers if you into that. But then the argument could be put too if two consenting adults decided, hey, we want bomb police, let's get together and do that. Then, yeah. So if they want to do it, and there's revenue, and guess what? The government can tax it.
That's the biggest thing, you can regulate it, you can
Ah,
tax it, you can make
that's
sure
revenue.
people aren't. being
That's revenue. That's
trafficked.
$4 million again. That can fix some roads, right?
No, not even.
No. That can help road we renew it, right?
That could help not paying 15%.
Why no? Because Peter Turner said that if we would, let's just go with income tax. Y'all want to go the U.S. route?
Yeah.
And just take it direct from your salary. You wouldn't see it. It'll just come direct from your salary. You want England to want food? Your salary though. You know what touching your salary?
You almost said NHI.
Well,
How much further are we from the 7%?
But you know what's amazing, though, I can get back to the subject real quick and talk fast. 300, less than 400,000 people, the kind of revenue money in the country, why everyone's supposed to be, if not rich, second class, or,
Yeah.
middle class, because no kind of money is flowing through this country. I mean, really? Everyone should have at least a lot. We have land just allocated for the direct, the foreign investors when they come, that's earmarked, so to attract them. We have enough land, and when they talk about million, how much acres? 1 million plus acre. Everyone in this room, you only have 400 people, 400,000 people, everyone should have at least a lot. You know how far ahead we would be if everyone had a home? But I guess that wouldn't work in favor of the banks, because I mean, we gotta make money too, but.
And
if
someone
it-
just spoke against the banks the other day about getting mortgages.
Now hold on now, because I need my job, so don't start that off.
No, what do you
No.
mean? It's in-
Well, I
Or
mean,
you mean a man, so you should go to the bank, I forget.
Yeah.
Politicians, you
Yeah,
should be able to
yeah,
pay for it
yeah.
out of pocket.
Albert Johnson.
Alvin Johnson, yeah.
He said that back in the day when everyone was to get together, you have everyone would have the grill going on, and if you got carpentry skill, you got plumbing skill on the weekend, you could knock something up real quick. You done knock off, what, 20, 30,000 right there in labor, right there. But he said, of course, the bank ain't want you to,
Right.
because I gotta get paid too. So, it is what it is. But y'all know how I used to do it back in the day, especially on the family island. Contractors, all them fellas who ain't got nothing to do that day. Put some fish on the grill, and let's do this. So some risk assessment basics. You need to assess the country. Where is the company being incorporated, perhaps, if it's a high-risk jurisdiction. Of course, your entity or your company should have a listing of who you consider to be high-risk or sanctioned. Because you ain't gonna do no business with Pakistan, unknowingly, or North Korea. You need to know who your sanctioned or high-risk countries are. The client risk, what type of legal structures involved, IBC, sole trader, corporation. Assessing the client's business, what's the nature of the business? Like the fella told me, we're in the gaming business online, and you just interact with the young ladies and just talk to them. And I say, hey, tell me more about it. And then of course, eventually, clothes start coming off thing, it's the porn business. We said, no, we're not interested in that. So, and of course, you have your company's risk appetite. Because every company or organization has a risk appetite, meaning how much risk are you willing to take on board? Some companies may not have the capacity. You don't have the manpower resource to monitor and track this stuff, so why take on this risk? Or you may not have the expertise. If you're in the real estate industry, for example, you may not have the banking background, to manage this relationship. So why, you don't have a risk appetite, so why take it on?
That's the amendment they put forward.
Oh.
That's what they put on us, right?
Oh, that's what they put on you. But like I said, you have to have the appetite. I mean, when you go to what they call the Golden Corral, there's only so much you eat. I don't know why you keep going back. Your stomach only this big. There's only so much food. You're only stretching your stomach. There's only so much. You try to be a capital H-O-G pig. So there's only so much food you can eat. So you have to have the appropriate risk appetite. I know beforehand that this is what I'm prepared to take on, because I have limited resource or expertise. The product or service, what products have the customer applied for? If you're the guy right here who's just, let's say you're the street light of Marathon, you're selling bottled water. You're buying the water from Chelsea's, but he applying for the accounts where he wants to send wires. Wires to well, you buy your water from Chelsea's. What you need to be, who you wiring? You want, I ain't got nothing against it. First I gotta ask this question, anyone here a Muslim? A Muslim? Because I gotta ask that, because I was in a training session once and I said, well, some faith they believe in so and so, and I misunderstood the Muslim, and they, oh, you don't like Muslims? I said, we get here though. Yeah, you hate us. And I said, yeah. And I got reported, by the way. So that's why I gotta ask. So look here. We had a certain mosque, that's like the temple or whatever here in the Bahamas. They wanted to open an account. I ain't got no problem with that. You're selling your little oils and stuff, and everyone needs oils, I guess. So you got your little oils and stuff. And I just trying to figure, where you getting these oils from. You be sending these transactions going to this high risk jurisdiction. And I like, we don't do transactions still, you know, and they're like, why not? We just say, we don't run like that, because we're not just a Bahamian entity, we have Canadian parents. And we also subscribe to OSPI rules, and they subscribe to these sanctions and restrictions, so it ain't just us locally in the Bahamas. We're an international bank with Canadian parents. Yeah? And going to that particular territory is sanctioned by the UN. You can't accept any transactions from there, so that was a problem. Are you willing to take on that risk and have your transaction stopped, the money forfeited, and you sanctioned? Mm-hmm.
If this guy walks into any First Caribbean branch,
I don't like them.
just say,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes to the teller and try to wire this money out.
Mm-hmm.
Does the teller know that he's trying to send this money into a
Yeah.
restricted zone?
Yeah.
All your tellers?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's oh yeah, that's transaction 101. Because the requisite you have to complete. Who's the recipient of these funds? Where is it going?
Yeah.
We need to be comfortable with that.
All them savvy like that?
Yeah, man. And because we have it'll stop in the queue, in the wait. Let's say if it's a high risk jurisdiction, or perhaps it's a name that may be a match, and it would stop in the transactions. You need to confer the compliance. So that automatically, someone from my team will say, okay, we got a sanction hit, and they're like, hey, John Doe trying to send so and so, and okay. So we have to ask questions. What does this represent? What's supporting documentation? Who is this? You can't do that.
And what's the appropriate thing for the teller to tell to the customer?
We can tell them it's a sanctioned country. We cannot.
What the teller's gonna tell the customer?
We cannot complete the transaction. And if they need to, we'll just say senior management. Really behind the scenes is compliance. We just say senior management. We cannot complete the transaction. It's what we call a sanction. Some people, they argue and all, they know better. Because when you hear countries like Beirut, who you know Beirut? Who you know, Pakistan. You're from the Bahamas. Sorry?
The same thing applies to like MoneyGram and FedEx. I mean,
Well, I can't account for them.
Because they
Their
ask all
operation.
kind of
They ask them
questions.
because it's KYC. They need to know because it could be stopped, forfeited, and they can be sanctioned too. It's international sanction, okay? You can't send it there. Let's say, for example, it's Cuba. You know the OFAC rules, Office of Foreign Asset Control. You cannot send the US dollars to Cuba. Yeah, transactions, especially for the Cuban government, Cuban interests, and US places. So when you do that, you risk having the transactions restrained, the money's forfeited, and your institution fined. You remember that story I gave you with my boss? With the 250,000, but she didn't know that's no more. But you remember the 250,000? Yeah, you don't want to put yourself in that position. And as a buffer, compliance is behind the scene, and if we get a hit and it comes to us, we'll say, hey, decline. We ain't gonna give you no script, we just say decline, that's it. You know, long debate. Decline. End of story, you know? And I told them in a lot of our training sessions, hey, this is what happened. They said, what? They called you on vacation? I said, yeah, you want someone call you? They say, no, boy, refer to compliance. Who would you rather get sent on, me or you? Why you keep pointing at me? I mean, we was like, nobody. The answer is nobody.
you give me an option, you say me or you.
Yeah, but I mean, I was hoping someone would say nobody. But you know, everyone always would say, you, Randy, we want you to go home. I said, why? Why would you do that? And I got a mortgage. No, the answer is normally nobody. If we work in a partnership, if it's a hit and it's sent to you and I say, hey, we can't do the transaction. And I'm putting my, because basically they want you to sign off on it. 90% of the time, you're being paid for your signature, whether it's the onboard or complete a transaction. And they know they can't, in law, they have to go through you, in most cases, so that's why they come, hey. And sometimes they don't even want me to read, so hey, just need you to say, they come to little jokes and stuff talking, and oh, just sign right here, and I say, hold on, huh? And just sign right here, I know you're busy. No, I got busy. I say, hey, hold on, they say, high risk, hold on now, what is this? Who? Beirut? No, boy, no, man, just sign right here. It ain't like that. Don't be too quick to sign off on stuff. Sometimes when they will say, you send the approval yet? I have it in what they call the draft form. Sometimes, I leave it for an hour or so, and then revisit it. Because don't be too quick to press send, because that'll come back to haunt you sometime. Remember, document everything? Documenting is a good thing, but they use that against you, because I remember one time a staff member, I assisted this woman, she came over, hey, we talking, shoot the breeze, we bump this and all that stuff. And then as soon as something go wrong, And he gave me that sign off. I said, look at this foolishness. Look at this. Everyone's trying to save themselves. Look at this. Look at this. She ain't just throw me under the bus. She driving the bus. I said, look at this foolishness. And people, guess what? When you're back against the wall, and it comes down to my job and your job, boy, you be some cold people. And I think, cheers. And she stopped talking to me after that. I said, I don't care. You send me home. Okay, so your risk assessment basics. Country assessment, client risk, the nature of the business is important because do you have the risk appetite? Is it going to jeopardize your business? You gotta be mindful of what type. Let's say, for example, not to pick on the gaming houses. Prior to them getting authorization to be regulated, we weren't taking them on. So if they're prohibited for whatever legal reasons, whatever reason, that was a risk. So you have to factor that into your onboarding. So you're like, oh no, you're not regulated right now. You're underground. Yeah, just like the prostitution right now, right? It's underground right now, but it happened. Everyone know that there's at least a couple strip clubs, right? Mm-hmm. But they ain't gonna never bring their deposits and say, oh, that's from stripping on the weekend. You know.
From the bar.
You would say this. Where the money come from? Oh, we got some girls here from Colombia, Dominican Republic, and there's some nice girls. Now this is 20 grand on the weekend. They ain't gonna say that. Yeah, but when you listen to the name of some of these clubs, everyone know about the Pink Pussycat in Florida, right? You've been there before, right? In Florida? You've never heard of one in Florida?
I've been to a few, but not Pink Pussycat.
Okay, so they got
Fort
these.
Lauderdale?
Sorry?
Fort Lauderdale?
You know it. Yeah. But I mean, let's be real, it happens. I mean, let's be real, it does exist. It does exist. I'm not telling you to know all this stuff, but sometimes you need to keep your ears to the ground sometimes. You have to read and stay current sometimes, I'm just saying. So assess the product or service, what products they apply for, the delivery channel, how will they be getting the services, how are they onboarded, did they come direct to you or are they going through an intermediary or third party? Because all your clients will not be direct in the front of you. Sometimes it may be an attorney, notary or whatever, suitable certified, whatever, introducer, and how will the products be delivered to the client? Those are some stuff you need to put into your risk assessment when you size of the client. It's not all inclusive, but it's just some of your basics. Yeah? So then you need to design your AML compliance program. How are we looking for time? Okay, so designing an AML compliance program, management should consider some stuff, like external factors, your regulator. Is it in line with the Central Bank of the Bahamas' guidelines as it relates to AML? The AML systems and controls must be tailored specific because it's not a one-size-fits-all. While you may have a parent company overseas, remember, you could have perhaps 17, 18, 19 jurisdictions, and you may have to tweak it just to meet our needs here in the Bahamas. Some things may not be applicable. Let's say, for example, in Antigua, they would call a dormant account anything after 2 years of non-activity. So they transfer the monies to the central bank. But in the Bahamas, it's 7 years. So you can't just use one blanket policy for all the territories. See what I'm saying? So you may have to tailor it based on external factors. Internal factors, the size of your company. You got a 4-man operation. Yeah? Do you really need to have a long process of how do you file a report? You got 4 of you on my desk here, your desk right there. You ain't got to go through no long. No. Say, buddy, I got a report. It's right over here. Got it? Good. No big thing. Risk appetite. You remember I spoke about that earlier? How much risk are you willing to take on based on your resources, expertise? Yeah? The nature of your operation, what type of business do you operate? Do you want to take on something that you may not have the expertise in? You want to guess your way through it? Complexity of the business. And I gave you a scenario, I think it's the first class, where this individual came to us and he wanted to be onboarded. And for 45 minutes, he's trying to explain what he does. And we came out of the meeting and we were like, you figure out what he do? We like, no, you. I see you the legal part right. I thought you was right. So nigga, I was foreign. Well, what you was doing all the time, and you wouldn't get to figure out what he's doing. We didn't know. So that was a no. Because if you cannot explain to the regulator what this client does, if you're doing the KYC, which means you should know your customer, you really don't know your customer. If you came out of a meeting with 50 more questions on what he does. That's a problem. Yeah? Geography again, location, where they operate. They may not be based here in the Bahamas. They may be based somewhere else, in perhaps a high-risk jurisdiction. You know. Do you your business? Do you do, especially if you're offshore? Do you do off-site visits? Do you actually fly into the jurisdiction and see the so-called factory or place of business? You required to do that?
Especially if the trust relationships that you're managing it.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So you all travel a lot. There you go. That's where you want to be with them. All them companies around the world, they got to fly in and see it to show that it's a physical presence and not just on paper, some shell entity. You know, it doesn't exist. And real quick with the board, I think we spoke of the board earlier in the first class. I think it was the board. You notice those guys who they direct the direction of the company, strategy, how we're gonna make profits, how they're gonna prevent possible risk to the entity. The big decision makers are your board. They will get together, they make decisions and trickle down to the senior management, ultimately down to frontline staff, and this is based on the environment, regulations, international best practices. So the regulatory expectation is that senior management will be responsible and accountable for the management of the bank's compliance risk, and there will be full board participation. Yeah? The board is not the subject matter expert. You are the experts. As senior management, and compliance is senior management role, by the way. So they would have to give their expertise to the board because new policies and regulations will come out. So you need to dissect that and say, hey, based on this policy procedure, this is how we need to operate. And you would make the recommendations to the board. Don't go there saying, okay, this is what you gotta do. Boards don't like that. I get mashed up before with that. I said, oh, we need to do this and that. And they say, really? And I was like, oh, I didn't know I was pissing her off. And she was like, really? Oh, you telling me that? Okay, all right, okay, but I ain't doing that. I don't like what you have there and go away and amend this and amend that. I was like, wow. I didn't know she was telling me off. And she was just telling me, go away. And they said, someone pulled me aside and said, you knew how this is. Yeah, this is year one. They said, no. With her, you have to make it sound like it was her idea. And you need to make it like a recommendation. Because when I came back, and the only thing I did was maybe one or two little sentences different. When I came back, she said, oh, much better. I said, but I ain't really do chin. You got to be careful. You ever saw that commercial where the guy said, boss, this is a recommendation. I don't like that. And then he said, well, we should do this. But they said, but that's the same thing I say. He said, no, I was doing my hand like this when I was saying it. That made it different. You got to make it appear as if it's his idea. He said, boss, I know you would like this. You can incorporate this. I can see you doing something. And he look at yeah. My boss, many times, and I hope I don't get in problem with this, and please don't call my name. A lot of recommendations I make to her, you know what's a different thing when it goes to the board? Her name goes on the bottom. They never even hear from me. All she does is she just take it, put it on another letterhead, assign her name to the bottom. And they say, oh, good job. Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I was like, nah. And word for word, don't they? And she's shameless. She just put her name, and I was like, wow, it's like that? I'm like, okay, all right. And she just put it and say, I remember you at the end of the year. I said, yeah. That's what you always say. Sometimes she does, sometimes she don't. But of course, with the board, you gotta be respectful. The board is required to understand the obligations. So you, as the subject matter expert, need to make them aware through awareness training. And don't assume that they know because they are a director on the board. Being a director on the board does not make you a subject matter as it relates to risk. Yeah? So that's a fallacy. With respect to the AML, the board's key obligations are understanding the various risks that the institution is susceptible to. You gotta tell them about the risk, any possible gaps. Sometimes you gotta be a politician too, by the way. Because in compliance, you always have needs. Anyone in compliance ever needed more staff, more resources, perhaps to go on training. And I gotta every year to come with a case, boss, we need this, we need that, we need this. And you gotta say, if I could go on this training, it will make you and the organization look good because in your infinite wisdom, sir, I think that if you would sign off on this and I could bring it back and I could send me, and I could be the trainer and train other staff, I would be saving you money, sir, because you're so wise in the way you approach things. That's true, I am wise. How much I cost? Only a measly cost of $5,000 to go. And if you send me the material, I can train the rest of them. He says, that makes sense, Okay, Taylor, I like how you think. They sign off on that, you go on to Vegas on training. For training, go on to Vegas for training. You know, you come back and you disseminate the information. You have to be a politician also. Yeah? Ensure that there is support from the compliance control environment. And you have to get staff to buy in. Yeah? You gotta be a salesman too. Because like I said, if I don't have to, I probably wouldn't be it every day. But you gotta convince people that, hey, you need to do this because for hygienic purposes, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Gotta be a motivator. I know you work in compliance. And you gotta be a psychologist. You gotta be a police. You gotta be a politician. You gotta be everything, jack of all trades. And that's a part of your role. Convincing people to do certain things. So they don't go through bank lane and shackles. The bank, there you go.
At an institution I worked with, the relationship managers, I was on that side of the business, called the Compliance Business Prevention Department.
They call me business blocker. They say, hey, business blocker. Some people are like, you? I hate you, but you don't even know me. I wish you die a slow death.
Give final approval.
Exactly.
Recommends, and that was my thing. They recommend, the board still has the ability to say yay or nay.
Exactly. And it happened many times where they superseded my recommendation. They said, you know what, I ain't even checking, they're going straight to the top. But of course, when you get to the top, they say, well, what did he say? And then they'll call me back and say, is there any way we could work around, or we could fix this, or whatever. It's their choice. But it's documented that I made a recommendation. So you have a legal obligation to be compliant with the law. Whether there's suspicion, you need to report it and have internal reporting procedures. Most importantly, appoint an MLRO, which is your money laundering reporting officer. And I'll go through this part really quick in the interest of time for you guys. I still got some time. The MLRO should be sufficiently senior. I mentioned this last time. You can't have a junior staff, let's say it's a level 1, trying to convince the board, this is what we need to do. The person should, in law, be senior. Let's be real. You can listen to a minor or another adult. You more than likely listen to another adult, right? So that person should be on your level or just slightly,
So what do you gain as sufficiently senior?
You should be higher than most line staff or all line staff. A little higher than mid-management. Say for example, you have a level grading of 1 through 10 in your organization. Should at least be a 7. Yeah? Cannot be a 1 or 2.
And by that time, the MLRO would have, it is expected that they would have had a certain level of training.
Oh yes! MLR should be trained at least once a year. So I'd say you should get exposure at least once a year. So I'm sure you guys go to the offshore Lloyd conferences, the ACAMs in Vegas, you go to the, there's so many different trainings you go on, and you get to pick and choose where y'all go, right? You have a training budget at your institution, yeah? There you go. So that should be done with pre-plan. You know that next year, well, based on the fiscal, where you're gonna be going for training. You should be able to make independent decisions as relates to reporting suspicion. You shouldn't depend on the board or senior management. You should be able to have that autonomy. Because in law, you don't need the board or other senior management to tell you what to do as relates to suspicious reporting. The MLR should determine whether information gives rise to knowledge or suspicion, reasonable suspicion. You can't just look at someone and say, oh yeah, that's a crook. You should have reasonable suspicion. Yeah? You should be well versed in various types of products. You need to know what type of service and product you offer. Identify possible risks and how to mitigate those. Don't just come to the board and say, hey, we have 20 risks, but you have to have solutions. You ever hear your boss say, don't come in my office with all these problems all the time without solutions? My boss is saying, so you have to be a problem solver. Sorry, this question? No? Oh. Okay, here's one. Your compliance officer should be the right fit. And then everyone can't be a compliance officer. You ever heard of spelling name Peter Madoff? He was the brother of Bernie Madoff. You ever heard of Bernie Madoff? Peter Madoff was the managing director and the chief compliance officer and in charge of accounts for Bernard Madoff Investment Securities. Bernie Madoff, he's the biggest Ponzi scheme artist in history of Ponzi schemes. Excuse me. Y'all didn't see something on the red flag there?
Yes.
The managing director in charge of accounts and the chief compliance officer? That's too much
Like a
control.
woman from UBA.
Yeah, that's too much control. By the way, you could Google it. His salary was a little over 1 million per month. Yeah. That's, I mean, I only got to work there for half a month, and I'll be straight, and I'll never go back. Think about it. He doesn't get a salary of 1 million a month. But of course, you could read this. You know, Bernie Madoff, he went to jail for how many years? 100, how much years? Yeah, what? You Google it at some point. His brother also, he entered into a plea agreement. And he agreed to pay 143 billion. When do you think he can pay that back in his lifetime?
Never.
A staggering penny that he is not likely to pay in this lifetime.
His life story is on paper.
Yeah. Because how they operated, there were certain floors in the building, staff couldn't go in. There was only, they call them the chosen few would go in there. When they were being audited, when you watch the movie, and it was in the actual biography reenactment of it, they would take these files, and they had a team of persons who would just mash it up, and they send it to these other guys, and they take the coffee pot, putting stains on it, and rub it, throwing it against the wall to make it look like these old files. And they had this thing down to science. You were wealthy on paper. They would send you your statements. Monday guys, oh, I made money here. I made on paper. You were rich on paper. Until people started pulling out, and Bernie didn't have the money to cover all of this. With a Ponzi scheme, you have to keep bringing in new blood. Yeah? You got to keep bringing in new investors. You always make it appear as if it's legitimate by giving some people money. Like, see, it's legit. Like at my institution, there was a scandal with an entity called Pineapple Express. You all heard about this?
Yeah.
And the account was with my institution. And on Cowpen Road, I'm sitting at home watching TV. And I saw what they say in the news tonight. Pineapple Express. Oh, okay, you got my attention. And there's a riot going on. A riot though? The people trying to get their money. And the people with the glass say, ain't no one here. But we can see you. They say, ain't no one here at the institution. They were getting this money from people. And they held up some drafts saying, see it, it's legit from the certain bank. And they're like, what? But you have to keep bringing in new blood to keep the scheme going. And the wheel fell off the car when some people started to pull out. But if people started to pull out and I ain't getting in new blood fast enough, things start to crumble. That's the problem with that. And basically that's what happened with Bernie Madoff. The couple persons committed
I
suicide.
have a question.
Shoot, yeah.
When that company came, they have a business with the institution?
No, they don't have a business. The person was doing business activity through the person
Personal
account.
account.
Oh,
Oh no, it wasn't like that. But the thing about it, it got our attention from the riot and the fact that the person went on Facebook with the drafts and see, yeah, it's legit because the monies are coming from bank so and so, and it's like, oh, reputational risk.
Right.
And then with the riot, we said, oh no, we gotta shut this thing down. Then we got inquiries. So you see, we some stuff we ain't lining up. They say that was more than a red flag. That's a neon sign point.
So y'all never picked up on any red flags from that person's account as it relates
We
to
picked
account
up on
number?
the staff member picked up on Facebook. We didn't see anything going through the account because the person, they were under the guise that it was an ASU. We had documentation on the ASU, but not on this pyramid scheme. But then when we started piecing stuff together, everything is not going to be crystal clear or hand to you. Sometimes you have to do some inquiries. But then when you see the person on Facebook and you say, okay, and then someone sent it to us, the ASU didn't line up, and then the riot, then the police tell them, yo, back off, and then we come to get our money, and then she right there, and there's all that foolishness. And then when we got served with an order saying restrain certain accounts, then stuff started to fall in line. So some stuff may not be obvious, But you see why it's important to monitor transactions? And risk doesn't stop when you onboard the client, but over the life of the relationship, she started out good now. A good client, oh, no problems. But then after a while, you start seeing some irregularities, and then you start saying, hey, what's going on here? And then people start calling the institution saying, hey, y'all got an account for so-and-so. We don't give out information like that, because by secrecy and confidentiality, we can go to jail for that too. But then we start getting all these queries, and they start to really put it under a microscope. Then you start saying, hey, something in right here. Yeah? To be continued. If once it's restrained, freeze order, that's the court, and the court's review now. The Supreme Court say, well, order on us saying, hey, freeze the assets of my friend right here from the trust. We freeze that. We can't do anything on that account. That's frozen in time. That's just like how it is. Nothing coming on, nothing going off. End of story. We get that a lot. We get that. I mean, listen here. If you're going to be in this business called compliance, you will see freeze orders at some point. You will see production orders at some point. You'll get letters of request, MLATs. You will have to make some decisions. Because some of the staff who I work with, and we say it isn't just, is it? Why I don't have to make no decisions. You have to make decisions as a compliance manager. That's what you're getting paid for. You're not going to always make the right decision, but if you make an informed judgment, that's the best that you can do. And it doesn't hurt sometimes to, how they say it on the show, call a friend. You're in the compliance community, you can call other compliance officers, hey, let me run something by you. You've been around, you've seen some stuff. I bounce stuff off competitors all the time. Hey, like we have a compliance officer who's been in the business for 25 years as a compliance manager. I run him quick. I say, wait, I got a quick one for you. Yeah, what you, I start charging you, yeah, whatever. This is the scenario, blah, 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 blah. He said, okay, have you tried this? I said, yeah. He said, but what that? I said, I didn't think about that. Let me try that then. He said, you know, it's good when you can do that. You network. See all these faces in here? When all these persons are compliance officers, hey, Nelly, let me bounce something off you. Let me bounce this off you, Susan, or whatever. You can do that. Now, I ain't saying everyone gonna answer your call, or call you back, or answer your email, but you need to be able to network. Make sense? Why try reinvent the wheel? You know? And sometimes you gotta flam too. I'll call someone, but you ain't calling me in a while. What you want? I said, why you gotta want something? Boy, I got one scenario. Let me tell you how this goes down. Cost you lunch. All right. Burger King ain't no big thing. You get one of the Burger Kings here, you got, you know, but you need to get information, right? And I didn't think that was in Burger King, but you got it. Okay, there you go. I don't know. You may not have the answers for everything. Don't think that you have a autonomy on knowledge. You always call a friend. And it doesn't hurt too when you got friends who are compliance officers who also have that legal background. I have a few of those. I got people on speed dial who I call, okay, say, this kind of matter I got, call that one. There are times when I don't have all the information for a regulator. You gotta have friends there too. I ain't saying you're trying to bribe no one or whatever. I call people at the AG's office all the time, hey, I know you need, I have a deadline tomorrow. That ain't gonna happen. You still at his house, right? You still like that. I know you like that. You like sheep, boy. What you want? What you want? Harry? What you want? Are you bribing me? I say, nah, I ain't bribing you. I like, you know, I try to, I walk in there, I don't eat them sauce and I say, all right, no problem. But if you want to sponsor my child, they doing something at school, consider it done. But I need another 5 days. Okay, no problem. I ain't telling you that, don't put it in writing. Just saying. So your compliance officer should be the right fit. The person should have the expertise, senior level. You can't just put any and everyone in that position because it's a critical and responsible position. You gotta make decisions. Everyone don't wanna make decisions. The young lady who I work with right now, you know who, and she will remain nameless. When I first went into that role, she knew 10 times more than me. In the practical. I had all the theory down, and I told her, I took her to lunch. The first day I went on the job, I said, listen here, you got all the hands-on experience. I have all the theory. I'm coming from a regulatory background, law enforcement. I need you to teach me everything you know. You know, and she's like, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, you know, we're working together now and whatever. So, you gotta know your strengths and your weaknesses. Pastor Richard Pender, he's deceased now, you probably heard of him from BFM. He used to always say this, hire your weaknesses. You're not gonna be good at everything, so you hire your weaknesses. That person who has the strength in that area, I'll be real, I don't know. There's some stuff I just don't know. Yeah? Internal policies and procedures. We could go through that real quick too. Some of this may have overlapped. KYC again, knowing the clientele. You have to have in place policies and procedures. Policies and procedures, we call it controls too. That's your Bible. If it's not in policy and procedure, it means you can't do it. Yeah? And to be able to do it, you may have to get an exception from senior management, perhaps the chief compliance officer, to be able to do it. Make sense? It's like this. If it ain't the word, which is your policy and procedure, which is your Bible, you can't do it. You get around that, you need to go to the Pope, who is your chief AML or compliance officer. I'll have them sign off. Yeah? Source of funds and identification requirements, you need to ensure that's in your policy, because you need to know where the money is coming from, and you need to be able to identify this person and verify them. You need to appoint an MLR, you can't get away from that. We talked about that compensation the last time, and you were laughing at me. But the person should be amply compensated, because the more likely they won't hang around long. The rule of thumb for compliance officers, and I could go on record saying this, they don't normally stay one place more than 3 years, especially with salaries being so competitive out there. Luckily for me, I've been at my little institution for approaching 9 years. And it's time to start looking out now, but 9 years, it's time to move on. Yeah. So the persons have to be, because it's the only position in the whole institute where it comes with a jail time, and it's statutory saying that this person can go to jail if they don't do this and don't do that. No one else in the whole organization. Yeah? You need to do your due diligence, whether you're using online search engines, and we mentioned some earlier. Google is your friend. Google is free. You can't go wrong with Google sometimes. You know what is a good tool too? Believe it or not, Facebook. That's how we saw the lady with the one little straps. Sometimes you go and you'll see, you run a client name. I saw a client and he's like, dude, you in a dress? And you're like, okay, I guess everyone got their flavor, I guess. But he, it's like, you put a client name, sometimes you'll see all kind of stuff. You might see a client with a gun. And you're like, okay, and he's saying, all kind of stuff. I have a neighbor, please, but y'all ain't know my neighbor. And he does something, I need to sit him down and talk about it. He like, just touched down in Fort Lauderdale, Facebook family. Heading to the hotel right now, room 106. Me and the family going right now to Walmart. We just had a nice meal. They take a photo of the food.
Yes.
And I say, yeah, we just finished a nice platter. We going to the buffet line again to get some more. And I said, good. Now I know he ain't home. I can hit the house. Won't be coming back till next Wednesday, Facebook family. And everything is like on a late flight. So I know now I gotta get there early. So it's like, maybe it's a new thing, I guess. You have to have every moment documented on Facebook. It is what it is. It's a blessing and a curse too, by the way. You can find a lot of information, but sometimes some people put just a little bit too much information over there. You can play, just hit the, just got the Powerball. You can put that on Facebook. Really? I don't look, just got $70,000. And then see the money here. I'm home right now. See the money. So your risk assessment, you need to make sure that's done. Of course, some of the factors like location, nature of services, client. Account monitoring. Do your institution use an automated system? Okay, so you can have a combination of manual as well as automated. Our automated system is due to upgrade, but as soon as they got that bill, $700,000, that's which is a drop in the bucket for what we want to do for all those territories. So they say, boy, you all need to get some more paper then, because that ain't happen this fiscal. It's costly. But it's some stuff that you cannot do in real time with all those accounts. You need a system. You cannot review all of those stuff in real time. Yeah? So you'd have to invest in an automated system. Internal control responsibilities like your Bible, the manual. And you know how people feel about the manuals. I go in some of the staff offices and I look at the manuals and say, spider web, when I went last, you use that. Oh, I don't use that. I just call compliance and I just run the scenario by them. I said, but you don't use the manual? No. I've seen someone actually take the manual and I said, you never open the manual? I say, no. So as soon as you send them out, we just copy it and just stick it on the shelf. It looks good on their shelf. They got all the manuals, but they never open them. They couldn't tell you what's happening and other stuff. They say, oh, we didn't know that. Oh, okay. We got new staff. Yeah. They don't even read email. So they don't even know who's walking around in the office. Reporting procedures, of course. If you have a suspicion, you have to have an internal mechanism in place. How are you going to make that report? Of course, it should be confidential from the line staff to the MLRO. Rule of thumb, you want to make that communication as short as possible. Let me tell you why. If I have a message to give to a young lady at the far back, and I whisper to her, and she whisper to her, and she whisper to her, time as I get to the end there,
Ain't the same message.
you want to hear that message again? You know, if I tell you right now, listen here, the $250 I owe you, I can bless you with another $200, but you got to give someone in here $50. By the time as I get to the back of the room, the $1,000 what he say he can give you, man, you can split the next 500 he owe you, and then we can go and we can get something. It happens. So you want to keep that line of communication short. Yeah? Education and training, I touched on the training because you have to have a training budget. Even if you have a trainer program where you send someone off, they get the information, come back, and disseminate amongst the staff, you have to invest in your staff. And that's we talk about that all the time. You know with us, training, how much we killed with training. As soon as the year started, there were 6 modules you have to complete. And there are tests associated with those. You have to complete the test and get a passing mark before the end of when? When does that do now? But my boss tell me, so I know you finished, right? Before the end of January. So you got 6 tests to take. The brand new year, you know you're just coming off that, hangover from the whole year. The last thing you want to come and meet 6 exams you got to take online. You're like, damn, man, I can do this. But it's a requirement. So education is very important and training. And that's the only way you can stay current. Because what you may have done 10 years ago, that's not applicable today. Yeah? Things change. An authorization policy, of course, everyone can be authorized to do everything. In some instances, you see there's one individual doing 3 roles. You got to be able to separate responsibility. I can prepare the checks, issue the checks, and reconcile the books. Because I leave room for possible fraud or theft. Okay, let's just say you got a staff member, they're going through hell. Things tough, rough, and they preparing the checks, issuing the checks, and reconciling the books. And they're about to be evicted from their apartment. And payday ain't till the end of the month. Is there a possibility? And this person will got cash. Yeah? And some people try to rationalize stuff by saying, but they ain't gonna miss this little 50 here. And the bank making too much money anyhow. They don't pay me for what I did. I don't take lunch break. And they rationalize in their mind, but it's still theft, right?
Yeah.
It's still stealing. So, let me let you read that one and let me go.
Why you pass Wells Fargo
Why you think I fell for? You're gonna get that. You're gonna get that. This one isn't on the test or anything like that. It's just a scenario. I could always go back to that if you want, but it's there for you. I just need to get to creating an effective compliance culture. So unlike policy documents or procedures or manuals, the culture of an institution goes all back to attitude. Yeah? You ever heard people say you can't legislate morality? Either you're a good person or you're a bad person, It is what it is. Nearly all institutions provide some level of training to employees, but a culture of compliance goes beyond a once-a-year training session. Some institutions, they'll say, okay, we have a compliance training. It's only gonna last like 30 minutes. Staff, you listening? Yeah, they text in, they count cash, they got their back turned to you, and they just sign a register, and that's it. Do they really learn anything? So you have to ensure that they get the message, and that it's actually ingrained, and it's actually in practice. You could have all the legislation, all the policies and procedures, but if it's not in practice, that means it was never done. Yeah? And that's where audit comes in and they test you. And they'll say, but didn't you train the people on check negotiation or train them on AML awareness? Yeah, we went through the training session, but anyone was doing anything for you? Anyone was checking for you? It starts with the attitude. So that's how you create that. And sometimes you may have to compensate staff for that too. Or lack thereof, because you'll say that when the year start, you're gonna do 6 exams. You have to pass that. Yeah? And you have to read the material just to get the answers to perhaps pass it. Yeah? You may have to sit through a 2-hour session. And maybe you have to take the person out of the work environment. We did that. At my institution, maybe we would take the staff, frontline staff, all of them out. And we take them someplace like the hotel, you know? And we would spend 2 days just on AML. You know, you beat that in their head, beat them, you feed them. We beat that in their head all day for 2 days. You have to be, I guess, strategic in your approach. Useful.
The companies that used to, they did 2 things. One, they would intentionally send out spam emails
Mm-hmm.
and see who responded, and your jurisdiction would actually say, okay, we sent it out, and 20 of your people actually opened the email and answered to it. Or they would have someone call, because you know, for me, the weakest link is individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So they would actually have someone call to see if anybody would actually give out information that they
Mhm,
should
mhm.
have to really test, and people appreciated and understood their responsibility.
Interesting one, I gotta try that one. And don't rely solely on the vision statement. Because if you ask the average staff member, do they even know the word for word, your vision statement of your institution? Mission statement and vision statement? They probably don't. So don't depend on that. But of course, to each institution is own. Customer due diligence, again, basic stuff. You need to identify the customer, and the information has to be documented. You need to identify the beneficial owner, and not just the name on the account, who actually controls the account. What's the purpose for this account? All the banks in Nassau, the person live life with key, why would they want to go all the way out east to open a savings account at Commonwealth Bank? What's the rationale for that? They have no need to be on that side of the island. Why you need to go past all those institutions to get down there? What's the purpose and the intent? Or maybe it's just like traffic, I don't know. Ongoing monitoring. It's not just to get the information at the onboarding stage, but over the life of the relationship, sometimes activity level change. And you have to ask questions. You have to question the obvious. Jane Doe, why is the activity on your account spiking now from 1,000 to 10,000? What represents this change? You have to ask questions. And it has to be documented. Make sense? And if you see something that's outside of the norm for that particular client, outside of the operating mandate, you know that they operate in this jurisdiction, this amount of credit and debit, all of a sudden it's spiked and it's going for earmark for another jurisdiction that's high risk, you need to ask questions. Yeah? So you need to question the obvious, especially if it's going outside of the norm for the client. Investigation examination. Remember we did that scenario earlier with the DU case? When you get all these red flags going on, that's why they call red flags. That means you need to pause, stop, and look at it. Red flag means stop, hold on. Suck me in right, suck me in line, up. When you cannot get a satisfactory explanation from a customer as to what the transaction represents, then now you need to start doing some major investigation and involving compliance. Yeah? And in that scenario we gave earlier, that his story wasn't even lining up. Because he had more holes in that story.
So whatever happened, did he, like,
Oh, sorry, what? He what?
yeah, I was wondering if he set that whole thing up because he spent some of the money to make it.
No. What happened, I think that he actually had some monies, and it wasn't just from gaming houses, but also from quote-unquote drug dealers. When you're in that, because he talk a lot, you know, and he had all the assets. I mean, you got 2.3 million, which was found. 2.3 million, nothing else, in the house, right? You think that was a secret? That he had all his money in his house? That wasn't no secret. But he probably got tipped off that, hey, you didn't get hit. Them fellas may come around this time or whatever. He may have feared for his life. Who you gonna take your chances with the police, or you gonna deal with those guys? So if I tell the police, get here right now, they're gonna be here for 8 o'clock, the more than likely the police come. Because that ain't normal. You don't know the time and you can get hit, you know? So if you tell the police, right now, I got 3 million in my house and a kilo of coke. You call us now what? But them,
educated.
You know how fast do you mobilize a team to get here? You will wonder where all these Ford Explorers come from. They all over the place. So you fellas with these jackets and stuff, ski masks on, running around all around your house. If you want to get police somewhere fast, tell them, all I see is this white stuff. I don't know what it is, and they're all over the place. And they shooting. And two dead. And they what? You will see more police. But don't tell them, oh, I hit a car. The defender looked like a little dead. They're like, oh, okay, be on our way right now.
Yeah.
They're like, finish eating your lunch, you finish playing solitaire or whatever they're doing. Traffic accident, you ain't no one to rush into that. Now if you say it's a traffic accident, 6 on the ground and I see one decapitated, what? You will see more cars coming from all over the place, but you gotta, I know how to fix the story up now. I say, wait with them, but when I'll say, look, you know, I had little stuff like my door with Jimmy and I say, look here, my house was broken into, they say, what's your name, the fella's still in the house, you on our way. You gotta fix it up, because you know, I ain't got the time to be there all day beating on the fingerprint and all that stuff, and before I know it, woo, woo, woo! The fella's still inside, didn't know he gone, but you can check for prints and stuff like that.
They gotta call it different things.
I'm sorry, I worked with them, I was in the system, I know how it works, I know how to, you tell them, oh yeah, you know, traffic, and you don't come with no traffic, and it raining too. You know what on your own. You gotta fix, I ain't saying lie, but be creative in getting help, you know? But listen here, I only want the end result, you know. If you call and you want to be there for an hour, you ever call the police for a traffic accident, how long you be there? Don't tell me it's more than 10 minutes. They just bought 30 new bikes. How long it take on Island 21 by 7? You got 30 new bikes. Why it take me 2 hours for a fella to come on a bike? So you got 2 hours to kill. Sometimes, I mean, they hit someone, I said, man, don't worry about that scratch, man. That door, that was going to come off anyhow. So don't worry about it. We exchange information. Of course, that's never good. Because you know, you see that. I had that problem before. But it was a little fella, he was a gardener, a little Haitian fella, he ram right into me. I said, oh man, I ain't got time for this, man. I got to get back to the shack. I pacing, I trying to get home. And he said, Daddy, please, man, work me. I said, Daddy, I really want to work with you. I said, you save? He said, yes, I save. I said, you sure? You ain't lying to me, right? He said, yeah, man, I save. I said, don't lie to me. You look, if I can find you. He said, no, I save. I said, give me information on, put it on this piece of paper. Trying to find it. The only thing they tell me, oh yeah, he right there, Cowpen Road. And I try to figure out in the forest which one of these side roads is it. And I ain't see him since. That's, but I just didn't have time to stay there waiting on, you know. That's it. So before you go, I have the handout for the presentation for the day, so you wouldn't say I didn't give you the material. But everyone, you're required to sign your register. If you came in late, you're required. And we have one last session, that's next week, Saturday at 12:30. 12:30. But that one is I could do that in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. If you so desire, it's going to be on court orders and compliance programs. Well, at least thank you all for not going to sleep. I know Saturday morning and people don't go to sleep. You just pass it back. I hope I got enough. Anyone else need to sign the register? You all good? Yeah?
Thank you. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know all of these, to get background is more than financial institution, right?
Mm-hmm.
But prior to the amendment for the FTRA last year, real estate and development companies didn't have to have all this compliance, KYC, et cetera. So now they're implementing that. We're not the funds don't come to us, like, we still don't, you know, how you have done, monitoring, et cetera.
You're extra, sorry? It's extras. Okay, I don't scare when you're coming up. Sorry, go ahead.
How do you monitor? Because we're not a bank, we're not, you know, basically we depend on the
But
lawyers.
the first thing is awareness. You are a financial institution.
That's what they say now.
Yes, you are. You fall under the FTRA as a financial institution. So that means you have to have awareness, for one. you have some level of culpability because if it passes through, say for example, you got a client, the money's come to you, you have some degree of KYC knowing the source of funds.
But that's the thing, it's don't put us until at the end.
Thank you, sir. Everyone got one of these, yeah? Okay. Y'all have a great one. It depends on what level it comes to. You can be a part of money. You have a great one. Money laundering doesn't have to necessarily go to the placement layering integration stage. Take it easy. It depends on what stage you're at when you receive.
Just right there.
Basically,
You done develop what you want and is, you know, we're selling what we built, but we don't receive the funds until we close. So we're at the end of it, so how would they hold us accountable?
but it's still a part of the chain of events. The following the paper trail, remember? It's part of following the trail. Remember I started off by saying that the greatest defense again is being able to create that audit trail.
Right.
Even though you're the and receivers, it had to come from somewhere, the original. Even though you got it from someplace, doesn't mean you cannot get served with a production order or court order. You know, to provide information.
So not, well, I know they say don't rely on the legal, don't rely on the bank. Still do your own due diligence.
KYC is something you have to do. You can't get around that. It's reduced KYC because you consider the FI, financial institution. You're held at the same standard. That means you should have the same awareness and you should adhere to the same regulations. Where applicable to you. But you have to know the AML. You can't get around
See
it.
red flags. We wouldn't know until the end.
Well, you can't say you ain't gonna see red flags, because there are, if you were to go to a site called FinCEN, FINCEN, FinCEN is the United States regulator, and you would go to real estate red flags, money laundering, they have a slew of indicators. FinCEN, which is the United States FIU, FINCEN. Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, I think that's the long, but that's just the, it's expensive.
Okay.
And they have, also you have the, AUSTRAC has, AUSTRAC, that's the Australian one. Then you got FinTrack. So you got the indicators are there, don't say it ain't there, it's just that it's a ton of those indicators. Yes, that would be on, still on the 16th. I think it's the 16th, yeah.
Okay.
So that big hasn't changed. It's just it got a late start. They got the information late for class. It wasn't your fault. It was breakdown with administration.
Okay.
So we get us on.
All right, thank you.
Stay out of trouble.
On the 2000 lots, would you have any extras? Or could you send them to me via email?
Let me give you my email address.
Okay. Okay.
Randy.Taylor 100 at yahoo.com.
Okay.
And if you flip it to me today, I can flip it back to you today.
Okay.
So that won't be an
You
issue.
said at first yes.
You have no idea. Why? I never said that, you know. Why are you trying to lock me up?
Because you and I have had many conversations.
I did, man. When I had a conversation.
The same unit you keep talking about, who you have these close ties with. You recall, I don't want to talk.
Yeah, don't talk too loud. They can talk in code.
I don't know, maybe in a different area. In the past couple of days, maybe last year, maybe yes, probably having some conversations.
Now everything is crystal clear now. Yes. What the hell you doing here? This would be elementary for you.
30 days. I actually,
Now I want you to go give him you know who these people is. You know that's why they change and stuff around and I don't want Sophie them, because Sophie them give me all kind of what I need. And I can't go get Sophie them.
Well, you know, they have to,
Yeah,
I'm still at the base office, I didn't go there.
Yeah, because I would go there and carry information to them.
Okay.
I do it all the time.
I know that the unit went up on South Street, but what I wanted to find out was in the lessons, for me, it kind of thing. I was trying to look it up because I know compliance and we talking about
can be both. You could have someone, you could be both.
Or it can be a separate.
You could be two, yeah. You can separate the two. Some institutions over there say you just AML and then you just combine it. Or both. It's easier in the smaller ones to have one person do the two roles, combine it.
Okay.
Or if they have the money, they just separate it, they just make it two. Sorry. If the exam is next week.
I know the exams are following.
Yes.
Next week, right now, I'm trying to touch it. Like what,
Yeah, I can do a review of it. Because they normally short answers and multiple choice. Yeah.
The dev exam starts at 9?
I will confirm the time with Ms. Dean. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know,
This is my first time, so
you can run through that matter. You
trying to get a raise.
girl, stop it, yeah? But you can get a raise. When you go back, you tell them.
Well,
I mean,
that's the whole point.
that's a sure thing then.
That's the whole point of me being here.
But you have a great bun, so, but you ain't trying to leave.
Yes.
You leave? If the bank come offer you, you leave?
But that's mine, but I want to
I
find out from
believe
you now
it.
because I want to know if, I know this is like the beginner's class. Yes, I want to be inside that.
Really? But I'm gonna be dealing with you in that quick.
Well, they didn't even go now, they didn't even talk about
Ma, don't do it.
I see Garrett the other day, he faced me, he I see what happened to you.
I see Garrett all the time. I tease him all the time.
What does he say, boy, we've been so busy, I didn't even get time to go.
I don't know. Well, how they get caught up in all of that? Because I mean, they merge the two, but
Right,
that
but for
you
some
know.
reason that they're not really focusing
No.
on the
Yeah.
tracing and footage of that.
Yeah, they
And that is
bogged
what
down.
spiked my interest to want to come and do the cause.
I was teasing Garrett just the other day. I said, Mom, why you don't? No, Carly. You remember Carly?
Who, Bright or Colin?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
you work over there,
I was teasing Carly. I said, Carly, when you ready to come over, because we would be actually had an opening back there. Carly said, no, boy, I said, Mom, you my grandchild, but I can do this.
Yeah, because even then, live out.
Yeah, I didn't stay for mine. Just I didn't hang around long. I said, you know what? Let me go and. Sometimes you have opportunity and you may not be able to turn down because when I sold it all, by the time you may not get that. Well, you know, so I mean, no, you're really.
Instead of, as elements, I decided to make plans for my accident.
Hey, what's up?
I started over this year, for the next 5 years, and I don't intend to. Give myself kind of 5 years time frame. That's what I want to
Get
do.
into
Once
the-
I finish this, I
why
do
don't
the
you-
intermediate, right?
Go into the FIU.
Prior to coming out, while I'm still
If you
here.
could get in there,
Get in there.
yeah. I would suggest that. I wouldn't start the experience you get in there.
It'll prepare me.
Second, and then I'm telling you, you can't beat that type of experience.
It's so hard.
Well, the reason why I'm no longer there, and I just between us here, is because when the new director was coming in, Reggie Ferguson, hold on your family.
No,
I thought that I was going to be the next deputy director. He said, I ain't seen no one here who ready to be my deputy. I can bring in my people. I can bring in this one. I can bring in the nice one. Really? No, he'd be on. Quinn McCarthy's now in charge.
been there?
He's the director now.
Oh, I didn't put an application. I didn't know that.
He's the director.
Because I just came off of the.
No, he just started in January the first of January. Was this first?
All right, good. So what I want to know, right, is that once I finish this control and I pass successfully, then I wanted the intermediate. Do the intermediate next and then go ahead and
I
do
see.
the
Take that IC and run with that.
Okay. Okay.
I would suggest you take that and run with it.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure
But
I
if
was
you
following the
if
right.
you get him, you get yours.
I know
Because
I'm gonna.
You know why
I'm
I say
gonna
that?
make a call today.
You know why I say that? Because the ICA, every one of them FIA all on what? The government pay for that. It's 5,000.
Wow.
But I still.
I know. I was trying to put up my little money so I could try.
That's it's paying for by government. Once you are the FIU, even the accountant got it, the ICA colleague got it. everyone got it.
I'm going to look into that.
You can't. I mean, the thing about like this. Unless you just want to spend the $5.
No, I don't have to. I won't. So I'll shoot you the email today, so
And
I
I
can
can-
get
yeah,
that info, and then I'll talk to you next class.
Yeah, man.
All right.
All right. You too. No, just keep it on that. I must need to take what contracts. Enjoy your weekend.